it.
Yep. And with that, we're not even going to go into a countdown. You guys will fly.
We're still on brand here.
So tonight I had a start of a campaign, and I might have to move to Sundays because my friend Chris has got his game. Normally it's every other week that I'm not running, but Chris's campaign is currently on hiatus as he rebuilds his world because the last game he was running, and I enjoyed it, even though he was originally using stuff from Midgard Kobold Press, which I'm not a big fan of. It's nothing that is personally against the people that work there, but I don't like the wokeness and the servers for Discord. I don't like their website, given the Black Lives Matter stuff. I just, I'm not into that. If you guys want to be, that's great. I'm not going to probably give a lot of money to you. And I stopped giving money to Kobold and a lot of other people. That's why I started writing my own game. And so while we're on hiatus with Chris's game, I started running my own, literally my own creation, or actually it's assembly from another game system, lots of other game systems. And this is something that I've been talking about for a while, and tonight it was really clunky. I've done two other combat tests with it before, and it was smooth. But tonight I had new players, didn't know me, hey Crafting Gamer, and they didn't know this system as well as I do. And the way that it works is that we roll initiative, and that kind of figures out where in the clock do you snap out of it and realize you're under attack. You're in danger. So then we count to that point where that start of initiative is, and we're counting upwards. So we get to that point, and I ask you, what are you going to do? Because there's a time value for every response they give me. If they say I'm going to move to here, or I'm going to do there, I'm going to unbuckle my weapon, or I'm going to get my potion ready, there's a move action time of like 5. And then for various weapons, there's a weapon speed for casting spells, there's a casting time. And the entire theme of the game is everybody must pay. My players didn't see me roll up the characters. They knew I was rolling up characters. They didn't see me roll up characters because there's a build point thing going on. You start off with 20, and then you roll your 3 dice 6. If they stay as they fall, you don't modify that. They don't switch around. You get an extra 10 build points. And then when you're in the creation stage of it, if you had 2 parents that were alive when you were being brought up, and they love you, they treated you the best they could, you got another 10 build points. But sometimes you have to sacrifice a roll for a build point because your roll tells you like, oh, you had an abusive stepfather. Fuck. So you do things like that. And so it's kind of granular. It's not the same as like Pathfinder or 3.5 where it's like a round by round stuff. No, I don't do that. I don't like that. I despise games that are round by round, and they have things like full round actions where like Tommy will fly in from 37 inches away on the battlefield, and his character will attack you 7 times with his full round attack action that he gets to do because Tommy's special. And I just don't like that. I like it like where, like, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to grab my potion. Okay, you get that ready? Yeah. It takes you this long to get it ready. And whenever I come back to you at this initiative, you will be ready to drink it. I don't even have to ask you what you're doing next, unless you're going to do something different than have a potion ready. Things like that. And so there's always this value of time that's ticking, and the players are fighting the clock just as much as they're fighting the bad guys. They're more fighting the clock than anything else. And therefore, the game has got some wiggle room on things like attacks of opportunity or things of that nature. There are things like morale rolls I keep in the background. There'll be other things I keep in the background as well, like when you go to a town, you're not going to know who the mentors are in town or who could teach you stuff. You have to go discover that yourself. You have to go talk to them and find them and spend downtime trying to get them, in your good graces, and then be able to pay them money and have them teach you things like, I want to sneak attack. Why? Well, I'm good. No, that's not a good reason for you to learn how to sneak attack. That's really bad. Why do you need to learn how to sneak attack? Okay, I'll be honest. Me and my friends were an adventuring party. We didn't mean to be an adventuring party. We were supposed to be just regular people in this town, but we got stuck on this. And it's a lot easier for us to stay alive when I'm able to put my dagger in their kidney, somebody's kidney, whenever I've got a flank established. Okay, I'll teach you. And that sort of thing. So that's how I want my game to progress. I want a game that's heavy on downtime, that's heavy on character interaction with the world around them. I want players to respect the DM and try to explore the world around them and not do things like, I just leveled up. I'm going to take a level of this prestige class, which I've never heard before, but I just bought the book, so I know everything in the book, right? And you look dumbly at your players and you're like, no. And they're like, well, why not? And because I said, I want a game where the DM and the players have more of a conversation more than an initiative countdown. I want them to have the discussion of what's going on, and I want them, whenever there's actual conversation with NPCs, I want them to have something organic between them. I don't want it to seem like it's a computer RPG, which nothing wrong with computer RPGs. I was just looking at Wizardry's re-release of Wizardry Proving Ground of the Mad Overlord, where I came from, and I think that's great that it's coming back, but at the same time, I don't think that this generation is going to embrace it. And I don't think the mass public is going to embrace my game. I think my game will apply to a few people that want a granular game, that don't want something that's big and homogenized. They'll want something that's a little bit more detailed, and it has a lot slower play value. As I did, be the end of tonight, I didn't even award experience points. Hi, Kai. How are you? You have voice?
Yeah, I do. Sorry about
Okay.
that. But no, I'm just saying, I was just thinking, well, don't make a shit product for a million people. Make a good product for 12. And 12, like, as long as you're proud of what you made and as long as you enjoy what you made, it's worth the time you spent on it. I don't chase a million a million fake fans who you have to be someone else to to prove it. Just be yourself, and this is the game you want. This is the game that's good, and fuck it. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. And I appreciate that because that's exactly what I intend to do. Like my regular party, they're like, there's that much moving parts to it. It's Pathfinder with more steps. Dude, we want a hard pass. All right, well after this campaign, I guess we're done then. And I hate to say that, I mean, like I don't want to play Pathfinder anymore. Like if if you want to play BX or if you want to play Traveler, if you want to play Hero System, I'd be up for that. But I'm a little tired of Pathfinder. I've been playing that since, not including 3.5, 2007 or 8.
Right. And part of me, like, if I was to ever change Pathfinder 2, I would probably adopt a similar system, but I'd probably have a wheel, you know, a wheel initiative, where I would have, like I would probably make it out of paper, one of those classic little high school things, those grade school things you made out of paper with push tack. Hey there, and the initiative, just work the initiative out to be so just put a one through a 12-point clock on it, and just simply big slow attacks do this, and fast ones are here, and you might have somebody who gets 3 actions in before the clock resets around, and then it just kind of spins around this nice little wheel. That's about where I would get rid of the 3 action system, kind of take what you've kind of got and move it around, so that way you can actually have a bit more granular, bit more fun. But then again, I also kind of want to aim for like if I was to redo something, I would kind of want to take the emphasis away from party combat and make it more into small smaller combats, because unfortunately we're used to playing in the idea. I know Connell mentioned it on Thursday about the idea that he wants to have everybody in a group. Everybody at the table has to be engaged. Nobody wants to be watching. But I guess I'm used to playing more lethal games, more personal level games where combat's more one-on-one. It's more engaging in a duel, or yeah, there is mass combat where it's a group on another group, pirate ships or a battlefield, but a lot of or a bandit party jumps your magistrate convoy, and you have to fend off assassins, and the whole party gets to play them. But the point where a lot of these games shine is when one person gets to pull off all their awesome attack, all their awesome creativity and actions, and it's almost that shonen-esque anime thing of being able to go like, should we go to help them? No, no, no. This is their fight, and you kind of step back, and it is really this mass combat problem of one person leads the army, and that is that one person. And even L5R, which had a mass combat system, has unfortunately had a really weird early edition and never got fixed, where you're rolling, the general is rolling, everybody else is kind of like minorly helping, and then you have like key events that happen for each player that could, a little like vignette that happens in the combat that opens it up so that in the midst of a mass battle, the two lines part, and you get a chance that one of you gets a chance to see the enemy general for a few seconds. You have a like 15, 30 seconds to be able to like charge in there and like start a personal duel versus the enemy commander who's one of their frontline commanders, and you can actually have a fight going on here. The battle parts a little bit, and you get to have that one moment where one guy gets to do a cool thing, and then you roll for the next person, the little vignette for the next guy in the mass combat. The general's in the background. He's sitting here doing battle poetry, swinging a fan around, running armies around. But the guy, your players who get to choose where in the combat you've engaged the party. Each person is at, and you're able to say like, are you in the front lines? Are you engaged, or are you on the front lines, or are you in the reserve, or are you disengaged? So you have these four points in L5R combat where you can be at, and if you're disengaged entirely, you have like no chance for glory. Nothing. You have a 1 in like 100 chance of having something happen to you, but you have no threat. You're watching from a hill. You don't get to do much. But if you choose to be in the reserves, you could be sent in on the next round of combat, committed into a fight. The committed guys get to be doing things, and the engaged guys, they're taking damage constantly. But that's where the glory is at. That's where the most events happen at, and where you can die fast. But it gives you a spot on where you are. But the problem here is that if you look at, say, I'm going to use what I've been working on for your Pathfinder Kingdom campaign. Mm-hmm. If I was to engage in the army combat with what I've got able to throw around right now for the party town right now, the party would just sit around and do fucking nothing.
Yep.
If they deploy the Legion. Because right now, I can either put 4,000 troops in the field and garrison them. All they do is just 1,000 people in each of your 4 towns, and they don't do anything. They just sit there. Or you could put 1,000 man unit in active combat deployment perpetually, and the party was to like attach themselves as generals and commanders to that 1,000 man unit. The party would do nothing. They would just stand there and watch as 1,000 people march into almost anything and butcher it, unless it's another 1,000-man army. And that's all it is. There's no. How do you run a 1,000-man army that make it interesting? L5R at least gives you some chances to do it by putting you in there, and I can adapt that system, that engine, and put it into other games. And I have, because it's the only one that I know that gives you small vignette combats that are tailored to each individual person, and the players can choose to either step up and go, "This is my moment to shine," and go, "But I've got no one near me." Yeah, this is your moment. I choose not to go into that because I could get butchered. Okay, you chose not to pursue glory in combat. That's okay. I mean, your people might look at you a little funny for not stepping up and being heroic and honorable, but they'll understand because it's mass combat. Here's your free D2 wounds that you take just for being in the fight, because everyone takes damage every single round. It's every single mass combat round. Everyone takes damage. It's just the butchery of life, and that's how combat happens. So you can't just stay engaged forever. You're going to slowly get worn down, and you're going to die. Everyone's hurt by the time by round 4 of mass combat. People are starting to get tired. You're wounded. You got wound levels lost. Your stats, you're not rolling as well. Things are just not going well. You might start to go, maybe I should disengage and try to get someone to patch me up so I can continue to go back into a fight. Meanwhile, you have D&D where, okay, so we're going to roll a 30-minute long combat. Now, mind you, that L5R combat I told you, because the rounds aren't specified how long mass combat rounds is, that could have been a 15-minute fight, a 30-minute fight, an hour-long fight. Meanwhile, what was that?
Nobody knows how long those fights last.
Yeah. Like, you lose track of time. Combat just happens. And there's people dying around you. You don't have a clock. Do you got time to look for a sundial? I don't. But meanwhile, I go to D&D combat. Again, combat rounds aren't specified how long they are, but it's 1,000 people rolling their mass combat attack against something, another group, another force, and 1,000 people is a lot of firepower. And I got 10 giants. They're gonna get steamrolled by a legion. They really are. A legion of 1,000 third level characters are going to steamroll pretty much everything with ranged combat, because they all have bows and they all have decent armor and decent weapons. They're going to steamroll everything, and the party doesn't do much because do you put them in the front row? 1,000 people making 1,000 attacks? Oh dear! Oh dear God! And they're all fighters, or some various combination of them, because some of them are dedicated archers, some of them are shield bearers and lance users, some of them are halberd users, some of them are pole arms, some of them have this, because I didn't train them all to be monolithic, but yeah,
that's great.
And nobody gave me an idea of, when I asked early on when I was starting this project, hey, what kind of composition to your army do you want? And I didn't get much of I didn't get much or any feedback back. If I did,
you didn't hear what I said then, did you?
No, I'm sorry. I can fix it. Yeah.
I said, if we could, it'd be great if 20% could be bow and arrow.
Okay.
If it's possible, 20% bow and arrow.
Yes.
And then another 20% pikemen.
Okay.
And then after pikemen, sword and board, or axe and shield.
Okay, so you want like a 30-30 mix between those two?
Yes.
Okay.
And that should provide us with enough results to where that party, when they're doing the miniature war game stuff in the background, like, they should have enough variety of troops to be able to handle damn near anything. And let me just say that if you're doing 200 fucking archers,
yeah,
that should soften up every enemy out there.
And here's the good and bad part about Kingmaker / Ultimate Campaign army building right there.
Mm-hmm.
By buying all the gear to be able to do that provides the entire army those bonuses. because it's well versed. That's a very, very solid unit that would be right there with good equipment, good range, good everything, and that's just them going out there with. They're not wearing padded armor. That's they're not they're not using sharpened sticks, and they're not using a bendy branch with a string attached to it to shoot arrows. Like, they're actually equipped, not with great, just with good.
Yeah.
With average adventurer gear, and they're going, and it's like if the party wanted to call up a substantial amount of people and throw it perpetually into the field, or surge it to if they were to, based on the road network, if they had at least a 4-day warning to say this is the major battle that's going to happen, they could surge up that number for a temporary amount of time, and for like 3 weeks put a 4,000 man army in the field to go fight something. They can't mobilize it for long. They can't stand it for long because the food will run out. But for like 3 weeks, they can man this massive group to stop something. They can't. It's not an active power projection unit that you can send out for like indefinitely on a campaign. But if it's critical to save the world, to save the kingdom, you could surge a 4,000 man force into the field to fight and stand it up and keep it, to fight that one fight, and then everybody goes home.
Wow.
That's the system. And the thing is, if the warning came, to 3-day warning to march the furthest people out to like force march themselves to whatever city else is in the kingdom, that's what they can do. But that's the problem. I would now have, which would be because the game tops out at 2,000 men. You can't have 2,000 men in a single unit, so it would be 2,000 men units against whatever the fuck's out there, and that point it dies. It seriously dies. But the party would do fucking nothing, and I really feel bad about that because the mass combat rules don't really allow much for the way of heroes to actually be heroic and do hero encounters, unless you steal somebody else's, in this massive monster battle. What are you gonna do? Have one archer shoot one extra arrow? I love Connell, but he'd just be one extra really good archer in a sea of other archers, shooting one really good round when everybody else is shooting one really good round. Well, everybody else is shooting average rounds, and so he would marginally buff the stats. But because the party is 7 people in a sea of thousands, they're lost. Their contributions are small. It's not enough to really provide a bonus. And I hate that I did the math out for this, but this is the math I did. And we ran into this problem because when I was running a different campaign and I was really liking that game, another player figured out all this math before I did, because he's the one who taught me all this math. And then he's like, yeah, I can, I'm choosing not to abuse the rules. I'm seriously choosing not to, because I could. And then one day when I was comparing the notes of what I'd done for the party in this town, and then he pulled out the notes and went, let me update you on what's been going on in St. Hildegard. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then he's like, yeah, it's Rome. And I'm like, what stage of Rome? And he goes, I think we're ready to go fight to go fight our first great war against Carthage now. And I'm like, oh dear God, is this where we're at? He goes, yeah, that's where we're at. I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, wait. When we both sat down, laughed, realized that we could fight the Battle of Cannae and the next 3 battles after that and still have bodies left over. that was the point where we realized, okay, this game engine needs some serious fucking work. Some serious work. And we both loved it. We both loved the game, but boy, does it need some. It needs somebody who's not, who's not stupid to rewrite the recruitment engine. It really does. But that's okay.
That is.
I want you to watch this.
That is. I'm just looking at the roster of the big bads that are in my campaign.
Yeah.
And going with the balance, the assortment that I sent you. And I didn't even go on skirmishers like Six Nation 31 Kings said. Pike and shot, skirmishers, and shield wall. I didn't do that. But if I did that, I would almost want to just add another, instead of 1,000, be 1,200. And have 100 pike and shot and another 100 skirmishers and the shield wall.
Oof.
Is that too big?
No. But I'm just saying, this was the worst, best book I've ever bought. This little pocket manual is the worst, best book.
Oh, the Ultimate Campaign?
Yes. I mean, it's cool. It has a lot of nice things in it, and it really does a lot of good stuff. But, and I love it, and there was a companion company that put out like 3 extra books that are third-party publisher material that are meant to be plugins for Ultimate Campaign that improve how combat works, kind of. It improves how
Ultimate Rulership from Legendary,
and their Ultimate War. Those two, like those are some. All their Ultimate books are fantastic books, and I would really say they're books that, if you're going to run Ultimate Combat, you need those because it adds the neat. Because if you bother to read through Ultimate Combat, it looks good on the surface. It'll pass most people, but you're going to find yourself asking yourself or noticing there's certain details missing. Where's this thing that, I would like to have this thing accounted for? And while they're not perfect and they don't count for everything, they're going to account for enough that you'll be able to fill in the rest of the blanks yourself and be okay. But they are definitely, Ultimate Ruler is definitely needed. But the thing is that it still doesn't handle the recruitment problem. And neither does Ultimate War. Ultimate War doesn't handle the recruitment problem. And because of the fact that all you need to maintain an army is to pay not money, but the point. You don't pay build points to be able to maintain your army. You pay for it in food. So once you paid the money cost to equip them, it just cost of feeding to maintain, and that's not hard.
No,
and considering that you get a free farm, free. You still got to pay money for it, but a free farmland if you got the land to build it as a free action. So farmland and then free housing and housing boost population. Dear God, when I was told you can have it, like all this land is claimed, and I'm sitting here going, "Oh my fucking Christ!" And it's just, Ultimate Rulership is just great, and fuck yeah, and we just sat back and went, "This is so easy to abuse."
There's some extra buildings in there too.
Oh yeah, extra buildings, and it's infinite manpower. I mean, it's just infinite manpower. Like how fast does it come back? You just have infinite manpower. But what's the how it's like, so if I recruit this, how fast? Oh, there's a small trickle rate, but it's so unnoticeable that unless you like, well, we have 50,000 people in this country. Oh, so I'm calling up 1%. Oh, okay, cool. 300 people. You get that every turn almost.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I'm just going to continue to recruit endlessly for 300 people forever because I can. Holy shit. And at this point, you start realizing that you're no longer playing, like the moment you start realizing that kind of shit is the moment you stop playing Pathfinder and you start playing something far, far different. The game you're playing is no longer some heroes go out into the wilderness. Like, the only time the heroes go out and do anything is when they have to go fight something really, really, really bad. Like, mind you, the way you're running your campaign, fuck yes. You're keeping the heroes occupied. They're busy doing heroic things, and I'm okay with that. But boy, if they ever wanted to take over the seat of power and put the crown on and actually be kings and queens and rulers and administrators,
not a thing would stop them.
No, nothing would stop them, unless another force of another organized force opposes them, and that means demon armies, other kingdoms. That's about it. Like, catastrophic realm level threats have, like, major orc war bands, like, and I mean major orc war bands have to arrive.
What did you roll the number appearing? We rolled 10,000.
And at that point, okay, a 10,000 man army, it's like some Mongolian horde arrives. Yeah, that's a threat to this little itty bitty kingdom that the party has built. That's a threat. But if they were to establish themselves, seriously build up and invest large quantities of money to, into the kingdom and get, and churn it back in, reinvest, and build up fast, they could build a kingdom. It's like, it won't be a kingdom of marble, it'll be a kingdom of wood and brick, but it has the foundations to become a kingdom of marble, to an empire of marble. And it's there. But watching players switch, like, change, like, I almost don't want players to play ultimate campaign. Like, please don't, because the moment you realize the power you have is the moment that you stop playing Pathfinder.
Yeah.
And the game becomes something far different. And I love it. I love running kingdoms, but unless everybody's on board, one person, the player who chooses to become the ultimate campaign player, the Kingmaker player, he might as well just be gone from the campaign, because it's the problem that I'm having. I don't want to say I'm having with your group, but it's the thing of, if the party actually was to play Kingmaker / ultimate campaign correctly, they have to spend a week every month administrating the kingdom. They have to be there. If they chose the job, they have to be there once a month for a week. They could go out adventuring for 3 weeks, but they have to come back. And if they don't, there's massive penalties, huge penalties. Like the entire kingdom grinds to a halt without the people who are in charge there. And so, because the party all said, this is who and who's here, this is what they're all here, this is who's in what spot, and then I'm like sitting here going, cool. And then I started listening in on the Saturday games and going, okay, they're all busy, no one's around, they just took a week-long vacation to a town to make some gear, and no one's around. And at that point, I just slotted back in all of the NPCs who I had generated up to be in all these positions, to be the shadow government that runs everything in the name of the party. They're totally loyal to the party. They're good, but the party's just not around. And so, like I jokingly told Connell, it's just simply, guys, your names are on the official record saying that you're the ones in charge, but you're not around. And everyone knows to go to the second, the Shadow Council that runs everything. They're not corrupt. They're not evil. They're just the people who are, and they're not even stellar. Like, I didn't even give them like amazing super stats. They're all like people with like plus twos and yeah, like 14s in the stats, so a +2 to their modifiers. But they were average people doing the job of average capability and capacity. That's all. And then one guy who's the actual who's actually good at his job.
Yep.
Like, there's one guy who's got the one player character who's got stats. Everybody else is just 12s and 14s. But it establishes a stable government that runs while the party's off doing something else. And that's what I base all of. Like everybody who's at their jobs has a 14, their primary stat when they were hired. They're slightly above average. That's it. They're high in their field. And I've still, but at a certain point where the stats provided by players and characters actually no longer matters, actually, and when you're doing an ultimate campaign. When the kingdom reaches a certain size, you can actually retire like that. You can actually like go, we're no longer actually, we're early on when the game first starts.
Yes.
Players are the most critical things because they have the most advantages, the most bonuses, the highest modifiers, and they outstrip anything that the village can produce. So players' roles are critical. But once you get 2-3 towns established, the area pacified, roads built, and trade established between the towns, you suddenly, the bonus to the players is still nice, but it's no longer required. You no longer need to have a guy who's got a +5 in a stat anymore. He can pull back from the role. You could put a vizier into Billy Bo Bob, your lieutenant can step into there and go, you handle day to day. Like, I'm out playing golf. If you need me for a critical emergency, call me. And you're gone. You're adventuring. You're doing things. And your lieutenant and the assistant to the regional manager steps in and goes, I'm the one in charge now. And the system runs itself. And I did enough of the math to the point where it'd be cool if the players would actually, step in and go, yeah, we're running a system. Like, no, the system runs itself now. It's a self-perpetuating system that's slowly expanding and building itself up. What I wouldn't mind is if you guys would decide to choose to, what direction it evolves in. But right now, I turned it into a stability and money-making machine. That's what it does. It produces stability, which is what you need to make sure that you can control more territory, and it produces money, which you need to build more stuff. And there's no law, and there's no crime, there's no corruption right now. It just runs, and it runs quietly, and it builds quietly, because that's all I needed it to do. And yeah, if the party would go to the main town, they could actually craft moderate items and get bonuses to their crafting checks now in the main town. They literally can just sit back and go, you know what? I want a +4, because there's enough shops and crafting people now who are in that town that can provide them bonuses to making items. It's not a big bonus; it's just like a +4, but it's still a bonus. And 4 is actually a big number. But you get to have something nice that if I was to step back now and just say it runs itself for the rest of the time, the party's got a nice town. It's well guarded. It's well fortified. It's got roads that can travel on. It's got crafting bonuses. It's got a +1 research bonus for lore and magical knowledge now. it's just a nice little town. It's not town. It's a nice little city that allows them to actually have a safe place where they're not going to get mugged every night. That's all I wanted the party to have. And if I can walk away now and say I gave them that, I gave them a town where it's not crime ridden. There's no thieves guild. There's a gambling den with the police are on top of it. It's got a brothel, but again the cops are on top of it, so you're not gonna get mugged if you get drunk and stumble out of the brothel or the bar or the gambling hall. You're not gonna get mugged by a thieves guild in the street. You can actually stumble out safely at night and not get shanked. If I was to say I was done and walked away now, I think that would be a nice thing for the party to know we've got somewhere to go back to. That's what I wanted for them. That's all. Yeah, it is Strippers Guild, the brothel, which is right next to the gambling hall, which is right next to the tavern. So it's a mini casino that the party that I know Connell and a few other people would just go, what? I can hoard, drink, and gamble in the same place? Yeah, fuck yeah. That's all I wanted for him, and I'd be happy. Now, I'm not going to stop working, but I gave him a nice base of operations that went from a town full of refugees and a few shacks to, yeah, you're a pretty good town now. You're a pretty sizable city. Well, not a city, but a good large town. It may be medieval Eureka, but it's a town. Enjoy it.
We'll take it. I don't mind a medieval Eureka. I'm pretty okay with medieval Eureka. That'd be a fun place to be.
Yeah, it's medieval Eureka with a medieval Washington, a medieval Metamora, and a medieval Roanoke nearby. That's what that's what it is. It's literally Woodford County. It's what you guys got. It's Woodford County.
It's not a bad thing. Woodford County, you can have a lot of fun there. I spent more nights in Metamora, drunk off my ass on bad beer that we can't even talk about anymore because fucking Dylan Mulvaney advertised it. I mean, I went up to that corner bar and I got shit faced.
I know which bar it is too.
Yeah, I mean, I know that bar way too well, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah.
The local cop that's there, he saw me walk out of the bar, and I sat down by my car till about 4 a.m. And he came up, sat next to me, and he's like, "You're not getting in your car." I said, "You're here. Why would I get in my car? Just invite a DUI?" He's like, "You're pretty smart." And I said, "Well, I'm not really, but." He's like, "No, you're not getting in your car. You're not putting yourself at risk." I said, "And I'm trying to keep everything in check." Yeah, he's like, "No, you're not delinquent in public, so I'm not going to write you up for anything. If you want to just sit here, don't fall asleep on the building. I will have to arrest you." I said, "Okay." Well, I sat there till, like I said, 4 a.m. and then I went on home and I thought about my life choices because Deer Creek and Metamora are not exactly too close to each other.
Nope. But the thing is that, and when I was picturing out how distant, how far it is between each of those towns, it measured out to be about right for about how far away between each of the towns that you had on the map.
Yeah, about a day's march.
About a day's march, or a half day on a road, which not hard, not bad. And honestly, it's about 10, 12 miles between each of these towns. And it's so suddenly it's like the idea of, okay, I'm marching from East Peoria to Metamora. That's about 12 miles, which is one hex in in Kingmaker. I mean, and it's like 10 miles from Metamora to Washington. It's about 13 miles from Washington to Eureka. Wow. It's like they've already figured out how the map works.
Yeah, I noticed that when I was driving around up there, everything was like 10 and 12 miles apart. Were they doing forced marches through Illinois and like with the early like Lewis and Clark stuff? Did they do that? Because
well,
everything's 10 to 12 miles away from itself.
well, the thing was back when you still had to walk and ride horses everywhere. That 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 statement of 10 to 12 miles a day is actually pretty accurate. And so, of course, all these old farming towns that were built before railroads and before trucks and cars, well, yeah, that have been around for a century or two. You know, of course, they're all at what would be the travel time for a farmer with a cart. I mean, this made sense. So of course, the entirety of Illinois is literally marked in like in almost 13 to 20 mile gaps. That's literally what it is: 13, 20 mile dirt roads, and then you reach the next town. And it's like the Midwest is literally dotted at about that distance. Because I got bored and was just measuring out there because I it is a natural hex crawl. It really is. And this is actually where kind of the mentality that when we wrote up our entire the Great War between Peoria and Bloomington Normal, um, strategies. Well, because of the idea that we sat there and looked at distances between towns, and we're because okay, if you're part of the Society of Creative Anachronisms, you find out that the entire country is split up into baronies and kingdoms. And well, one of the baronies that came out is the Midlands, the Kingdom of Midlands, and then you had the baronies that were lined up around Illinois. And we saw the map one day and went, well, shit. And Bloomington Normal and Peoria are in different baronies, and so's Galesburg, and so's LaSalle, Peru, and so's Springfield. And suddenly we started figuring out, okay, so if we were looking at this from a D&D medieval combat thing, and we started figuring out exactly, well, how far can a messenger ride? How far is this? And then we started like going, well, shit. And at that point, we started pulling out like maps of like France and figuring out how big the French baronies were, or England and their baronies. And we started realizing that, well, shit. If we look at the Tri County area, well, that's the size of a pretty large barony. That's a duchy almost. And and we had the satellite kingdoms, with feudalism that would be like, attached to each of these little kingdoms, and then you got the greater metropolitan area, and that's now a duchy, and we're all part of the Grand Kingdom of Illinois. We're technically the throne's in Chicago, but Rome, Chicago itself, is sitting out there. Well, Springfield, the colony or the capital, the old capital, is sitting down there, and it's just a satellite, and everybody in the middle fights. And I'm sitting there going, well, shit, this is like and this is Dark Ages combat. And suddenly we're like going, well, okay. And so everyone was kind of like measured it. Like we just started sitting down and thinking about, okay, start looking at this as though we were trying to fight a war because we're both medieval historians. We both like Roman and late Middle Ages combat. So we started figuring out, okay, we were taking out the highways. Like, we just like rewrote things. Like the interstates are literally just the leftovers of the Roman highways. Okay, so that's a paved road. All the country roads are all now dirt or old, fallen apart roads, and started figuring out all these other problems, and started figuring out the logistics for, of course, with how Peoria and Bloomington hate each other. They would go to war, but it would be one of those bullshit, useless wars that always seems to happen, in the Middle Ages, where like 5,000 people show up and beat each other up with sticks, and then go back home. And then we try to figure out, like, well, how many days march would it be? And we're like, well, this, and like, okay, what are the natural barriers? Oh, the Mackinac River.
I'm actually just looking at the Mackinac River right now, and that's funny you say that.
And it's the halfway point between the two cities. It's a bullshit.
I used to fish around here by Lower Sand and Gravel on the north side of town.
Oh God! And okay, give me a second. Where the I, I think when I said Mackinac, I wasn't thinking the right river. Oh no, it's the Mackinac, but it's the Mackinac between Congerville and Goodfield. And at that point, we realized that would be the flashpoint region between these two massive kingdoms
Yes.
that hate each other, and that river would be the place where everybody fights because that's where the dividing point between the two kingdoms would be at. And we're going, oh god, it's just gonna be a useless whole miserable fight between like yeah, that's literally what everyone would do. It would be stupid as fuck, and we love it because at this point we start to actually go, well, and because of the fact that we're looking at terrain, and the thing is because of the idea that we sit down and this is a completely bullshit, stupid thought experiment. It really is. And especially if you look at the satellite, look at how bad the terrain is around there, around Congerville and Goodfield. The terrain is shit right there. I mean, you wouldn't want to march people through that shit, and especially on foot where you don't have vehicles. It's like the bridge. The bridge would be the only thing that you would want, like you'd want to cross. Like a 40 point where 150 goes across that, and an old Roman bridge across over the river between Goodfield and Congerville. So, we're sitting here analyzing this from how we would describe this in D&D terms. Like, if we were to actually run a scenario, what would it look like? How would you describe it? And then try to figure out where the fuck do you okay, so we're gonna march 3 days to get from. So somehow you get past Congerville, Goodfield, and you march 3 days to hit Morton. And where are you stopping for water? Where are you stopping for food? Where are you stopping for shelter? How are you bringing supplies? And suddenly, it's like people are going, oh, okay. And the thought process begins to start rolling in on how you're doing things. And it's like, so we thought it was a great thought for us because it made us think about how we were going to do things and how we were going to maneuver. And we've actually thrown this thought experiment at anybody we meet who claims that they go, I've thought about military strategy, and I'm like here's a scenario. You're Bloomington, invade Peoria, and then watch the guy's brains fall out as they pull out the maps, start looking at the terrain, and go, oh shit, how do I do this? Because no matter what, if you somehow get past Morton, you reach the fucking bluffs that overlook East Peoria, this giant run-and-filled, horrible network of bullshit, and then you reach the river. Is past East Peoria, and you reach the river, where the river just stares at you, and they laugh at you from the other side of it forever. And and we've even role played out, had one guy propose us an almost a Burgoyne style march where he goes up north up to Henry and comes back down, like Burgoyne marching marching through New York, and going, oh god, no, there's problems everywhere here, and then suddenly we started pulling in politics and other funny things, and it became this great little thing. Like I said, it's our little secret way of when we meet somebody new who says they know military stuff, and we're going, medieval military, go, choose Bloomington or choose Peoria. You have to invade the other country, the other kingdom, and watch people's brains go, oh fuck, fuckity fuck. Because you don't have tanks, you don't have cars, you don't have trucks, you have horse-drawn wagons and a baggage train, like an actual real baggage train full of supplies. And you got to
look at what Travis said. What if everybody just shows up and just decides to fish at Congerville? The fish, the world would have been this big.
And you know what? That's a totally okay thing. We're like, you know what? The garrisons of those two towns just kind of periodically go across and wave at each other from across the other side of the creek. Which, if anybody's ever stopped in Congerville or Goodfield knows, that's about what they do anyway.
Either that or you stop off at that nice restaurant that has the pies.
That is a great place. When you stop there, the smell is fantastic. It's right next to the gas station. It's a beautiful little
drive
stop.
through town, you smell it.
Yeah. When the wind's blowing right, you smell those pies and the breakfast being cooked there. It's phenomenal. I love it. They got a great little solar panels dealership now out there. Yeah, they have one of those special fold out flower arrays that tracks the sun. So when I drive by there every day, I at 8 in the morning, it's pointing one direction, noon, and then sunset. It's like, yeah, this is cool. That's a cool thing. And then I look at how much it costs and go, I don't want one. I want one, but I don't want one. I want like 3. So I can have a whole flower garden of sunflowers staring at the sun all day long. And then at night, it folds up and puts stuff away. And then in the morning, when the little sunset goes, the sun's out, it opens up, it turns, it unfolds, and now you have somewhere all day long, changing its direction and angle and rotation. It's beautiful. It's a neat little toy. I know. I got stuck in a traffic jam one day because somebody decided to, I don't know, flip a truck right at the Mackinac Bridge, 74, and we all had to sit there and divert down 150 to go around and try to divert the entirety of 74's traffic down through Goodfield.
Goodfield and Morton. Oh God.
No, from Goodfield to Congerville. Yeah, it was terrible that day. But I got to stare at this damn flower for about a good solid half hour. But yeah, it's like, but this is a fun little experiment, and you get to learn a lot about about the terrain, the environment, and yeah, we even had people like looking up like elevation maps, figuring out what the actual like ground conditions are like, and they're like, "Oh, this place is shit. How the fuck do you get here?" I go, "Peoria is the single most strategic place in the entirety of Illinois. It's literally the best city you're ever going to live in, environment wise. If you want to hold against a siege." And they're like, "Fuck yes, it is." And like when you have a retired lieutenant colonel come through in there and go, "Fuck this town," yeah. Yeah, we were drinking one night. When we gave him a scenario, and he looked at it and scratched his head, and thought about it, asked some questions, and said, "Fuck this city." And we're like, "Good answer. Fuck this city." And it was a nice dinner. It was a nice dinner. It was we were about 4 drinks in before we asked him the question, and then pull out the maps because we've been thinking about this one for years. But the thing is that this allowed us to describe combat conditions to our players better. Like when we're trying to set up, a big dramatic battle where the forces of evil and darkness are all arrayed like assault Gondor, and then you see the players start asking dumb questions like, "Where do we fight them?" And then you go like, "Well, you have a lot of options. Here's all your options. Here's your conditions, and my character's a military genius." Well, fantastic. I'm glad you're not, but your character is here. Here's the information you need to be able to set the field in your favor. Okay. And then be able to describe, okay, here's marshy conditions, here's a creek, here's where the dirt isn't in your favor, and all this other shit, and then watch players go, "I never thought about this stuff." I go, look, if you're looking on how to like stack the deck in your favor when you're playing like a game, like just look for everything to find every last little detail that you could milk out of it. And that might mean you have a druid who's running ahead of the enemy army, throwing poison in every creek bed and well along the way, so that way they're going without water for 3 or 4 days, slowing down the army and making them all sick, so that way when they come and meet you finally, you can butcher them because they're all sick, tired, and dehydrated. Going, we've been going on half water for the last 3 days. How the fuck are we going to keep going? I don't know. We got 2 more days. Every well is poisoned and fouled. I know, but you gotta do it. Or we gotta drink from this horrible fetid pond. That's the only water we've got. And I'm like, okay. And you just think about stupid shit like this because, well, if you bother to read a map and learn about the area, like your characters are probably about as knowledgeable as you are. If you got rangers who are running around mapping your your hex crawl zone, you're thinking about this. You're making these. They won't be as detailed as Google Maps and being able to pull up satellite imagery, but your druid and rangers who are going out with hunting teams should be drawing you similar maps. Not nearly as good, but they should be still telling you approximately what's there. It shouldn't just be a 13-mile wide hex that says swamp on it. No, they're going to be looking for like dry, the dry parts of land, the places you can make fordings, places where the water is coming up clear, places where you can get food in those hexes. That's the whole point of what the exploration and pacification checks are. When you first explore a hex, it isn't just simply we walk across it. No, walking across is just simply you walk across it. I know a lot of my idiot drivers who I have to fucking work with. They're driving on 74 every single fucking day, and they don't look around. They're just listening to their music and just driving. They don't see the hills. They don't see the water. They don't see the creeks. They don't know the back roads or the farms. They're just going, road, drive, done. And I'm like, do you even know anywhere where you've been? Do you know that if there's a construction site problem that's happening in Galesburg, can you bypass it? Can you go around the problem? And their answer is usually, well, my GPS will tell me. Okay, cool. You'll get lost. Good for you, Lieutenant. You'll be lost. I lost by noon. Good for you. Goodbye. And walk off and let them figure it out themselves. And when they come back pissed off, going, fucking, I don't know. And I'm like, did you check your maps ahead of time? Did you know anything? Yeah, I know. Sorry, bud. You're fucking useless. But hey, you can listen to my advice. I don't want to. All right. It's your hide. If you want to come home late every night, okay. Good for you. Find some new routes, my friend. But that's just me living on my own weirdness. Anyway, anything else you got in mind?
I didn't mean to. We just spent an hour talking about maps and going to Congerville for pie, or Goodville for pie.
Hey, it's okay. It's our hometown. Everybody else it's our home region. Everyone's just listening to us talk about this shit and talk about the stupid war games that my players do, that me and another person do, and we torture other people with.
Like you guys, I seriously can't tell you how many times I was standing in my front yard, and I'll show you the old spot on the map where I would stand at, and I could smell the fucking pies.
Oh, yes, because the wind blew.
God, I miss this place. I so miss it. I really do, and I hate saying that so much and thinking that so frequently, but it's the fact that it's not that I can't go back there. I can go back there anytime I really want to, but it's not going to be the same of what it was. But no, you would stand on the front yard and you would smell how everything. Okay.
You were in Deer Creek, weren't you?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. I got to turn on the terrain.
Yep.
So, literally, if you watch the first videos on my channel, they're all from this house here, 200 South Perry in Deer Creek, Illinois. I had the apartment facing this direction over here. I could watch the sunrise through the 4 bay windows. And over here, and I also should note that around this area and over here and around here, there were pig farms.
Yep.
So you lived in areas where like if you don't know what the smell of pigs are, if you don't like the smell of pigs, you probably don't like where you live. And over here, 2 miles away, at the busy corner,
Yep.
they're bacon pies. They're bacon pies, and my apartment itself used to be the busy corner. It was the first iteration of it. And then they moved it over to here. So I could stand in my front yard, 2 miles away, here's this place, bacon pies. And my inner hobbit would wake up every time I would smell fucking freshly baked apple or cherry or even lemon meringue pie. I would smell that 2 miles away, throw the pig shit. And I would seriously question myself because I'm like, did I just get hungry? I just got hungry.
Yeah. No.
And that was that apartment. Like, there are very few places that I ever say, like, I could have lived there forever. If Illinois could have kept its hand on some jobs, I'd still be there.
When I used to be a driver, still doing that route. Yeah, around on my noon run, I would be pulling into the busy corner to go grab whatever they have, a slice of whatever they have on hand, because it was right off the interstate. Just pull off, go in, grab, pull back on, and go to work. I go back to Peoria, and then eat a pie, such whatever the fuck they had up that day, and go home. I got fat. I put on a lot of pounds.
You're not the only one, dude.
It's a good spot.
Charlotte's like, you could have larked yourself a war across the street. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And it's little things you remember fondly of, like a chowder bread bowl from Staganaro's on a foggy, drizzling weekend in my hometown. You could smell it miles away from the wind. Yeah, wind is a terrible thing sometimes because, like, you don't realize you could go for, like, Waffle House, but then you smell some, like, really bad, like, truck stop hibachi. You're like, man, I could really go for Waffle House right now.
Uh-huh. And I know all of this is just coming from the fact that I spend too much time anymore looking at maps. I just do. I have to. It's part of my job. And I had to figure out all this stupid shit. And figuring out how far 30 feet actually is, how far 30 meters actually is. And when you stop and realize that it really is just 3 white dashes and 2 blank, and the 2 spaces is about 30 meters, approximately. It's not exactly, but it's about 30. It's actually about 40 feet, but it's still almost, it gets you close enough. And then you start figuring out, okay, that's actually how far a movement, how far a character can move in a round as a standard action. And start looking at distances a little differently. Start figuring out, okay, the archer is firing across this bridge. So the archer is starting combat on this side of the bridge, and he's at 4 range increments at the other side of this bridge. And okay, and you start looking at how fast you're moving in a car, and going, okay, this isn't actually so bad. And suddenly distances change in how you're perceiving them, and suddenly when you're looking up into the air and seeing a 30-foot tall telephone pole that's towering over you, and going, well, that's about how tall a battle mech is. That's also how tall a giant is. And you start in the back of your head putting things together and going, oh, well, that's okay. I can describe that better now. I can it's like, well, how does a giant hide behind a house? Pretty easily. I mean, you're on the ground. The giant is kind of waddling behind a 2-story building. Yeah, you really didn't see him. He's being stealthy. He's a giant. How can he be stealthy? Well, you're on the ground. He's behind a 2-story building. Angles. You're looking up. He's ducking. He's like, huh? Like, yeah, you didn't see that tank. I'm sorry, you didn't see the tank. How? There's a 1-story building in the way. It's a tank. It's a 1-story building. It's bigger than the tank, and the building's bigger than the tank. That's bullshit. Look, and It's like, and I can almost challenge anybody who ever thinks about this shit. Like when you're driving, look out the window, look around you. It seems like your car is big, your truck is big. Like even like okay, unless you drive one of those little like pissant little go karts. What was that?
Revoris.
Yeah, I've driven one. I know exactly how small they are. Or one of those little smart cars, a little hot hatchback or an electric. But for those of you who drive big vehicles, well, your vehicle is big, especially if you got like six 6 to 10 wheels in that bitch. It's big, um, and you start looking at like how big is that? How would you describe this thing to a player who has to imagine it? And how could you use this? How could you make it interesting? How could it, when I stopped and realized that the average BattleTech map is the size of a graveyard nearby where I live, I could put the entire graveyard on one map. And then I stopped and realized, well, that's how far. Okay, and stopping adding the numbers up and realizing, well, that's not that big, but it's also huge. Like there's a graveyard literally right outside my house, and it's 250 kilometers to reach. Sorry, 250 meters to reach the front gate, and then it's 250 meters to reach the shrine, the shrine / statue in the center of the first half of the graveyard. If I was to walk the entire length of it, it's about a kilometer long of trails in there. And that's 2 BattleTech maps. That's a kilometer of graves that are right there. And that's not even a big graveyard. It's not. There's another one just as big, about a half a kilometer from my house. I'm between two of them. I'm between two graveyards in West Peoria, I'm near two, and that's not even counting the monster one that's near Glen Oak, and that thing's huge. And you realize that's a lot. Like, and we're not even that big compared to most towns. Like, if you just start looking for where your local city graveyard is, it's probably huge. And then and people walk that shit all the time. I know I do. I walk through mine, and it's always fun when I'm coming home. I look for the graveyard gate and go, okay, turn the other direction and go home, and I can look at it from my front door. And yeah, you're right. People are on autopilot. They aren't searching, but just take a moment while you're driving to go look, and you might see things. You might start perceiving things a little bit differently, and just try a little bit and start trying to figure out, how big the world really is. Like, we're so used to it, so we don't think about it. But the moment you start thinking about it, the world is both big and small, huge and small at the same time. And that starts to become a little bit terrifying. We can start looking around you. And I know most of us, just when we describe a town, like, you're in a town and it's got this, and we end up describing what might as well be an Old West one street town. You got your buildings to the left and right, so you can have your dramatic fight, samurai / gunfight in the middle of the street. Spaghetti Western gunfight in the street. Because we're all channeling Gunsmoke / in the back of our heads. But I think it just comes down to is drive through and look around and just look. See how the town, how the buildings are put together, especially in the old parts of a city. If you're lucky enough to actually have an old part of town, because Peoria is just weird because it is an old city. For the continent, it's an old city. I mean, we were proud to celebrate our 500th anniversary for being around. And for the continent of the United States, that's actually old. I know we're young compared to Europe, and the rest of the world, but for the United States, that's an old town. Oh, good night, Flavey. You can always catch it.
Take care, bud.
Yeah. But no, like I said, we're an old city, so we have various roads that were built at different points in time, different colonial eras. So we had the colonial era towns, city roads, and there's one road in our city that it's been on the fucking map since the 1600s, and that's Knoxville. That road's been there for fucking ever. Like the entire city might as well have been built around that town, that city, except for the fact that, and you can tell that if you're in certain parts of the city, the entire city is built around that road until you come down into downtown where the road now terminates into other roads that are built around, and the whole city is a whole fucked up place because nothing makes sense. Well, not as bad as say Boston, because we have more we weren't a bunch of weird ass fucking meandering sheep and cattle trails that turned into a city, but we got some weird ass old shit that makes our roads fucking stupid as fuck. But the thing is that if we're playing in the average fantasy world where the city you're in is 1,000 years old, you're gonna have shit that just doesn't make fucking sense. And it sure ain't the American squared road, gridded network of town streets. No, there's gonna be shit in weird fucking directions and roads that don't make sense. And why the fuck is this road go just at a weird angle to everything else? Well, it's just because that's how it all works. And I don't trust anyone who draws their cities in concentric circles. That's fucking stupid. But hey, who knows? Maybe that's how they wanted to do it. And
a standard Texas town, not Austin. A standard Texas town has highways making a circle around the city.
Indianapolis is the same fucking way. It's just ring road with ring road with ring road. And I look at Houston and go, oh fuck, that city is needs to sink back into the swamp.
I hate Austin. I hate Houston. Houston is worse than Austin.
The fact that you can fit the entire state of Rhode Island inside its largest ring road is fucking crazy. That part scares me. I don't want to ever go back there. And I swear that city is growing. Still, it's going to eat the world at a certain point, or at least the entire coast.
So this is where I'm at right now. Okay, this is San Antonio.
It's just ring roads.
That's the outer loop of 1604. Here's the inner loop of San Antonio. And then you have 46. This is New Braunfels. There's Seguin. Up here, towards here, that's Bulverde, Bernie, Pipe Creek, Bandera, the home of the cowboy, right there. This is where you don't take my work trucks because you'll get stuck on the hills. And then you have like Hondo, Divine. This is the third loop around the city that nobody realizes has already been built. They've already got it planned. They know how it's going to expand, guys.
Yeah. Holy crap. I didn't realize how fucking that you have that many ring roads already.
Yep, we got that. Here's Austin, which there is a ring road. It goes over here around the side of Pflugerville through at Hornsby Min, at DeVal, down over here by Mustang Ridge, Manchaca, which is my favorite part of South Austin. This is a great area. It's a bunch of hippies that are fucking armed with AKs and ARs. And then it's weird. But then you have here's the Mopac Highway 1 built along the Mississippi Pacific Railway. You have a railway splitting the interstate. That's kind of freaky. But
that's also cool as hell.
Yeah. And by the way, this side over here, 130, this is a toll road. This is an 85 mile per hour toll road.
Oh, shit balls.
85 mile per hour. It goes through Mustang Ridge around the side of Lockhart. Lockhart's the barbecue capital of Texas. I got my star on the dump over there because that's where I go when I have to be outside of the city and I got to go dump it somewhere. But over to here, this is 85 miles per hour. 85 miles per hour. 85 miles per hour. It slows down to the school zone of 80 miles per hour as it hits Creedmoor around the eastern side of Austin until it hits over here by north of Georgetown. But that's a hell of a fun trip, and they lose money on it every year because it's a toll road and it doesn't seem to do too well. All right, now we go up to the Ring Road fun time. Here's Fort Worth.
It's just
Ring
one
Road.
city.
Yeah, basically just one city that their tips are touching. Arlington's here. Fort Worth is here. If you like miniatures, come on, where's Denton at? Come on, Denton, where you at?
Denton, northwest corner between the two of them, next to a decent lake. Okay, I somewhere to go when I visit my uncle next. That's cool.
Anyway, this is DFW, and me and Blaine talk about ring roads all the time. Ring road. Just this is highway craziness. You know what we have in Texas? We have a thing called the Texas turnaround. You're on the interstate and you overshot your mark, or maybe your stop is on the other side of the road. So you wait till you hit an overpass and you get off on the access road, and you don't even hit the stoplight. You just get on the leftmost side, and you have a turnaround taking you back towards the way you came. It's great. Maybe you don't understand what I'm talking about here. Hold on.
Oh no, I do.
Okay.
I do. Oh
Because
no, I do it all the time.
Yeah. That's one last set of ring roads. We're going to go to the city that should not be. No, not Baton Rouge.
Houston. Fuck this sound.
Look at this. Fuck this city. Okay. I hate this sound. Here's what is that? The 610. And then you have the 45 cutting through there. We got the 8 that goes around. That's the George Bush Highway, literally. Then we've got the 99. This is crazy. Look at that.
I know.
Wow, the 99 stretches all the way down to here, then turns into 6. Good God.
It's just a mega city. It's
It
just
is.
a mega city that just continues to grow out. All the way from Galveston all the way into town. It's just a horrible expanded cancer of a city.
It is. I hate Kansas River City. I hate Houston. I'm sorry, kids.
One of my favorite book series is actually set in Houston, and nobody in that city likes it. They love it, but they hate it at the same time because they had like, all right, I'm gonna drive across town. Oh shit! And they just have to realize that everywhere is just a miserable long fucking road drive everywhere. Like where do you live? I live in this part of town. Okay, that's on the third ring road. We'll see you in 2 hours.
There's a couple things about it that I do like. Like you can go see the USS Missouri there.
Yeah.
That's like it. And the USS Texas is there right now getting refitted.
Yes, it needed it bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know where it's going to end up afterwards.
It'll go back to Corpus. Or not Corpus. No, Texas won't go to Corpus. My bad. Shit. I'm trying to think where the Texas is going after this.
Yeah, I forgot where it's going to. I just watched it when it was being towed into dry dock. So
That thing's beautiful, by the way.
it is.
I mean,
But the amount of damage that was on that thing, oh.
Okay, keep in mind that every time we got hit, the Japanese would write it off as a sunk. And so that's why the Lexington was like sank at sea 4 separate times.
And when the Enterprise has the Great Ghost as its moniker.
Yeah.
But no, it's there. I love it. It's a beautiful ship. It's one of the few things I actually paid money for in World of Warships, just so I could look at the model in game. Never drive it, just look at it. And some people wonder, like, why did you buy a ship that you have no intention to ever drive? I go, because I want to look at it. I want to look at the model. That game is crap, but boy, does it have beautiful models.
It really does.
And it's like I have it installed, never to play, just for when I go. I need to see what the fuck does Battleship Gray really look like, and how did the number 5 camouflage scheme look on this ship class? There it is. Okay, that's how it looked. Dink dink. Okay, and now I can go look at my black and white foes and go, that's what colors I need to paint when I paint my models. That's perfect. Or what was a camouflage scheme for the French look like? Boop boop. There we go. There's the there's the British fleet. There's the Japanese Navy. There's the Germans. Because we look at grainy ass black and white foes from the 40s, they're not that great. And having the ability to look at the actual model and go, that's how it looks. All right. And then be able to like go, okay, so that's where I want to put the rust marks on it, or that's where the bilge pumps are pumping water out. So that's where the water will give rust on the hull. That's how I get proper weathering effects. I like those kind of details, and having a digital museum that lets you look at it like that is nice. It really is nice. God, I hate the game, but fuck, they have a great model viewer.
AOC, she was on CNN.
They really do have a good set of 3D
Render ships on there. I hate the game itself just for the fact that they've added submarines, which I didn't really need. Although it is realistic to have them as a possible threat or an encounter, I just don't like the subs. The way they do the subs is just shit.
Oh, they're all hot rods that go way too fast for the era. They're garbage. Plus, they have that horrible homing torpedo mechanic, which is bullshit.
Yeah, like you get targeted by a submarine, you're just sink your vessel.
You might as well, especially if they shotgunned you. You can't do anything. You're just dead. I mean, there's ways of doing it, but I ain't pro player enough to do the torpedo beats well enough to be able to dodge it all. Sorry, especially since I drive tin cans. That's my favorite thing to drive in that game. I'm a tin can driver. And tin cans can't fight subs, which is bullshit in that game.
In real life, the destroyer was basically made to take on subs.
I know, but in that game, nope. Your job is to spot sub, turn around, run away. That's what your entire job is. That's all your job is, because the sub is bullshit. Especially at high tier, when you're driving a Fletcher or a Gearing, and then suddenly a tier 10 sub shows up, and then you're just going to yourself, I hate my life, I hate my life, I hate my life, I hate my life, I hate this game. I just want to shoot myself. And because the game is already rigged against you, with no fun police, also known as carriers, I'm Happy Destroyer, I'm going to go out and do some fun things. Submarine, carrier shows up. Fuck me.
Yeah. The only way... Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm a Happy Destroyer. Submarine shows up. Fuck me. And then the hybrid carriers, the battleship carriers. I'm a Happy Destroyer. Battleship carrier shows up. Fuck me. Fuck.
Yeah, why did they have to bring in all the sci-fi shit? Why did I have to fight the 40K ship that just came out of nowhere?
Yeah, I know. Or I gotta fight some other weird ass fucking ship, or the failed hybrid carrier battleships because they worked so well in real life. No, spoiler alert, no, they didn't. But don't worry if you see an Issei or Hyuga out there, the Japanese hybrid battleships, they just fucking like shoot rocket torpedoes up your ass and then you just explode. What the fuck? Or with the entire new American hybrid carrier line, that battleship carrier line is just like, oh, so you wanted to have a South Carolina that shoots that bombs you every 60 seconds? No, tough. Ah, fuck. And or it's like, or hey, you wanted an Iowa that drops bombs on you? No, tough. You want a Montana that drops bombs on you? No, tough. I don't like any of this. Tough.
Yeah, I really didn't like any of their ideas after they were like, okay, well, we got all the major ships out of the World War II, and we found the ones that we could monetize. Like,
I know. Don't worry. Thank God you quit because you're also missing the arrival of the support carriers that now. So Essex is no longer like Essex isn't a fleet carrier because they fucked up the carrier line. So the carrier line goes from Langley goes to Ranger, which nobody wants. Then it goes to Lexington, and then it goes straight to Midway after Lexington, which is dumb. But meanwhile, they're moving, but because they got rid of all the intermediate tiers, and so the new support carrier line that's coming off of it, so you research Ranger, so you go attack carrier, Lexington, Midway, or you go into support carrier, Yorktown and the Yorktown class, and into Essex, which they drop minefields to be able to actually. I know, right? So instead of dive bombers, they drop minefields. I'm stopping and going. In the back of my head, I'm like, so the Yorktown just drops mines now. So instead of dive bombing, I have either bullshit, useless, worthless American torpedoes and mines. That's dumb. Oh yeah, and so rocket planes that are complete bullshit. But yeah, that's all you got for the game. Is simply what?
Does World of Tanks have the Ontos in it yet?
World Tanks no Ontos yet, though it might as well. No. If you want Ontos, I think it's in War Thunder probably if it's in anything.
Okay.
Spooky. I mean, let's see. I've already watched this month's viewing of House on a Haunted Hill and 13 Ghosts. Those are my two.
13 Ghosts so much better.
I know, but they're part of when we're watching spooky movies. We like 13 Ghosts is just a fantastic movie. I love that one. Mm-hmm. And because it has the best DVD extras ever for a horror movie, because you can actually, read and that's part of our ritual when we watch 13 Ghosts is to actually read through the before watching it, go read through the background lore for each of the ghosts, each of the 12 ghosts, and we love it. It's just good. And then we watch House on the Haunted Hill, the remake, because it's fun. We like
the beginning of it.
Yeah, but the ending is dumb as fuck.
Yeah.
And
I'm sorry, man. The beginning of that movie, the House on Haunted Hill, when they were at the roller coaster park, the theme park, I think that's probably the best that movie gets.
Yeah, but once you're in the house itself, it turns in the haunted asylum house. It's just okay. And it's spooked. It's a nice early 2000s spooky movie, and we're like, yay, spooky movie. But since it's always For us, but you gotta remember, we watch horror movies almost continuously at my house. I mean, we have stacks of them, stacks and stacks of them, and we were just happy that we finally managed to complete the our Hellraiser collection because we've seen them all, but we just didn't own them all. But now we own all of them, and we're happy because now we can watch all of Hellraiser, and and we just got through a whole watching it. Like, is Hellraiser kind of spooky? Because that's not really ghosts. That's more demons from hell.
You remember Demons by God, I can't. Argento. Dario
Yeah.
Argento.
Yeah, good
What
movie.
did you think of that?
It was all right. I enjoyed it. I think I was just more going. I think I'm so desensitized that I'm just like, yeah, all right, not bad, not bad, not bad. And that's the whole thing with like Carmen and I are just sitting here watching this, going, yeah, that's not bad. Or we're just like, hey, what's that part looks like? And, we're just having a nice little conversation about shit. Like it was a nice movie. I'm happy I'm no longer watching zombie films, so that's okay for me. She finally broke me of my zombie marathoning, so I'm okay with that.
I need to see World War Z.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
I don't.
Watch it just for unless you just want to watch to see how bad it is.
That's basically it. I mean, I just need to see it just to get it out of my system.
So you want to see Action Man do action things? Got it.
That's it. That's it. Brad Pitt. We do Brad Pitt stuff for Brad Pitt dollars, and then after Brad Pitt is done and they roll the tape, I can live happy.
Yeah. And now, for me, I constantly use World War Z as my whipping boy for horrible adaptations.
That it is.
It's for me. I love World War Z. It's one of my favorite books. I think I've listened to the audio book several times and I love the unabridged audio book, which was even better than that. And I loved how when they did the audio book that they managed to get a full cast reading. It was like every chapter was read by a different actor. It made it come to life even more. For me, it was just simply I liked it, but the thing is and I got into I don't want to say a fight, but more of a bitch fest about it. And someone's like, "Well, what's the harm that a bad adaptation will ever bring?" And I'm like, going, simple. We're never going to get a good book for. We only had one shot of ever getting a good World War Z movie, ever. Because it's a relic of a certain period of time, a certain mindset. When it came out in 2008, it fit a certain feel that hit hard for that time, that moment in time. Because
I've never read the book, so forgive me, but
no.
Is that like the global war on terror, but just on like infinite fucking money?
Actually, okay. Quick overview about it is that it's set. If you can read through through what's happening, it's set in the immediate. The book starts in the immediate presidency after Bush. So, but when he wrote the book, he didn't know who was going to be president. So they never mentioned who the president is. But it's taught a lot of what allowed World War Z to happen is the fact that it talked about the fact that the American people were exhausted by war because of a lying government that manipulated them into two global wars. So they didn't have it. In essence, a bad government, a bad administration spent the capital needed to mobilize the American people to act at the right period of time. And there's only one president who that was Bush. Well, when Max Brooks wrote the book, he wrote it in 2006 to 2007. He didn't know who was going to be the president after. So he put a weak president who was going to follow after Bush, who didn't know what he was doing and fumbled hard the entire like when we could have stopped the zombies. He fumbles it just badly, and the president and the actual president, who's never named, dies in the book. Like, he dies off screen in the book. He just dies, and it follows down the chain of command to a individual who's never named, but if you read between the lines, it's Colin Powell, who becomes president of the United States. And he actually dies in the book just due to exhaustion, due to having been the wartime president who held the reins of power during the entire fall and recovery of the United States. Now, that's we're now way past the point where we could ever do that story justice now, because we had the Obama administration, we had the Trump administration, we've had the Biden administration. We're nowhere near, like, we might be able to have another crack at this book, being able to the right cultural position to be able to have it hit right in 4 more years.
Yeah.
If we're still ready, like, that's the next time we'll be culturally ready for this book to come back, and we have a second try at this. But the thing is that you also have to set up for. Now the thing is, World War Z in the book, the zombies are Romero-style slow zombies, and it shows so many points where, had somebody bothered to listen, the plague could have been stopped. But nobody listened. Nobody did things. There was greed. The Chinese weren't talking to anybody. Oh, wait, that sounds really familiar, right? The plague starts in China, and the Chinese hide it. Oops. That might be a bit spicy today. But it's like, and you'd have to show greed. You have to show the idea of tourist healthcare, of political prisoners in China being executed for body parts, and are floated across the world for rich people to buy tailored organs to their needs. That's a kind of a bad thing, and so you encounter the slow zombie problem, and it's like, it explains how the virus spread across the world. It shows it has a Canadian special forces operator in Afghanistan finding early zombie, and everyone telling him, no, that zombies don't exist. It shows all these problems in the world, and I would have killed to have seen the Battle of Yonkers, which is the high point of the first third of the book. Well, not the high point, but it's the nadir. It's the point of the collapse of the United States happens. The idea that New York has finally fallen to the zombie hordes, and because you're actually okay when the Battle of Yonkers happens. It's actually a full year into the zombie plague, but it's been slow. Everyone's slowly dealing with it. It's a slow burning cancer. It's people are dying, but the numbers are slowly reaching an inflection point. And so it's like, it's not bad, it's getting bad, but everything's still holding together, but things are falling apart. And then it's the spike happening, where the numbers explode. And nobody can handle it anymore. New York has fallen. New York City has fallen. 10 million zombies. And they've blown the bridges at so there's no way to walk across the river, so they're marching up Long Island, and there's a point where in the city of Yonkers, which is a choke point, and it shows the stupidity of the military thinking they can just fight a conventional war against the zombies, and it shows that it's the American shock and awe mentality that we'll just hit them hard, hit them fast, we'll restore American confidence in the military, the government, and everything. We'll televise it. And and it shows that nobody was prepared for this. Like, they're prepared, but they're not prepared. There's people fighting in the wrong gear, the wrong conditions. They're digging fighting positions against zombies who don't fucking shoot back. And shit goes wrong. And this battle this battle goes bad for the army. Like, really. And, they make a great show for themselves. The first million zombies, fuck yeah. They butcher the shit out of them. And then shit starts to fall apart. And there's still 9 million more behind it. The first wave. And it shows everyone was all happy and proud, and they're just blowing shit. And then they start realizing ammo's running low. The artillery isn't doing as much of an effect on the zombies. Airstrikes aren't doing enough. Oh, fuck. And things just keep getting worse. And then eventually it turns into pure fucking chaos as a general retreat as they get overwhelmed. And then because this was televised nationally, well, shit. Now everything.
They televised it?
Yeah, they televised it. Well, because this is going to be the U.S. military. Shock and awe, big dick energy. We can fucking handle anything. We got the big guns, high tech. We got tanks. We got artillery and MLRS. We got everything. We're going to fucking win this battle. No, they didn't. And of course, this was televised. And the entire country watched as the so-called vaunted U.S. military, invincible at everything, loses. And loses bad. And this is on top of now everyone's panicking. And there's fear. And it shows the general just abject chaos as millions of people east of the Rockies are being just, and it shows, and it's a beautiful moment of like it. And the thing is, this book is written from around the world. The conflict that's happening in India, in Russia, it's like in South Africa. It's handled on the sea, in the air, in space. It's showing you everything. It's written from every point of view, from the soldier's point of view to just people who were caught in it and the things they had to do to survive the war. Because the book is written 10 years after the war. And this is what pisses me off about the movie so fucking much. In the introduction to the book, the narrator, the UN observer who is trying to record the stories of the zombie war, writes at the end of his introduction that if there's any voice that should be forgotten, it's his. And what does the movie do? It makes the main character, Brad Pitt, the narrator for World War Z. He's the UN advisor being sent to go do stuff around the world. He's at the critical points where everything happens. He's in New York when it falls. He's in Israel when things go bad. He's flying around. He ends up in Russia or wherever the fucking World Health Organization thing happens. He's literally in the middle of it. He's being blackmailed by the UN to do his shit, or they'll do shit to his family. It's the dumbest thing. And as somebody who loves the book, I was pissed off on every level because of the simple fact that the book opens with the narrator, who's supposed to be Max Brooks, going, if there's any voice that should be forgotten, it should be mine. And what does the movie do? It makes him the main character. And it defeats the whole point because it marginalizes all the voices that were supposed to be in the movie by focusing on Brad Pitt being an action man against fast zombies. It's not supposed to be fast zombies. Hell, there's a chapter in the audiobook and it's narrated by Bruce Boxleitner, and it's a horrifying fucking chapter because Bruce Boxleitner is describing the events that are happening during the fall, during the chaos. And he's flying a Goodyear blimp over Kansas, and he's watching a highway, and there's people who are stuck on it. They're fleeing in terror. They don't know where they're going. They just saw that that people are fleeing, and they got on the interstate, and now they're stuck in a traffic jam. It's in both directions, and he's watching people fight, people bringing stupid shit on their evacuation, and he's watching the horde at one end coming from one city and eating its way down the interstate. And then but since he's in the air, he can look and see that there's another horde coming from another city and eating its way to the middle. And these people are trapped, being devoured by the hordes, by the swarms. And you're like, oh God, that's horrifying. You have another story written from the point of view of a German. He's an armored division commander. He's an armored company commander. He's been holding out in Hamburg, and he's been protecting civilians and all this shit. And also he gets orders from his commander that he has to retreat across a certain canal, and he was told, he's like, but what about civilians? He goes, leave the civilians behind, because what he didn't realize was there's a plan. The plan is simple. We're going to leave people behind as bait while we evacuate critical people and critical military units to secure locations, so we can prepare for the count to clear out secure areas. In essence, they were going to evacuate north into Denmark, and they're leaving people behind in cities as bait to slow the hordes down, because the hordes will eat them. And this poor guy was like, but because he's a German, and he's talking about how, no, we were taught that we need to fight with our, we're not Nazis. We're not supposed to do this. We're supposed to fucking be for the people. And that he has this whole thing, and then, and he has to watch one of his best friends, who was part of a unit that was deemed expendable, go and take his place in defending the civilians. And he has to, he's driving in shame, fleeing with his command north. And he has this whole plan that he was going to go, evacuate north across this, across the Kiel Canal, and he was going to go march up to his commanding officer who ordered it, and then shoot him for being a coward. And then he was going to kill himself. But when he got there, because he was one of the last units across the Kiel Canal, as soon as they blew the bridge behind him when he got through, and then he found out that the general had waited until he had crossed the channel to blow his own brains out, because he had realized what he had done, what he had ordered. And at that point, the German character is sitting here going, and now I hate him more, because I have to live with what I did, but he was a coward and took the coward's way out. And so we have to now fight the long war without him, because he couldn't bear the fact that we now have to fight the long war. And like that's a powerful story. And you're sitting here going, oh fuck. And you lose that because we got Action Man. We didn't get to see so many of the stories that are through here. Mark Hamill's voicing a character, and he has 3 stories, and they're all great stories. And it shows the slow, gradual grind from optimistic to fearful to running away to regaining pride to fighting across the country to get back to New York, and watching his friends have mental breakdowns or die to stupid shit, and watch the emotional toll that's happening. We didn't get the stories about people who were, to keep their child alive, would murder, just try to hide from their child the horrible things they had to do to survive the Canadian winters when it was cold. There was, insanity. There's things that are everywhere. The stories in this book are phenomenal stories. The audio book is worth the 20 hours you're going to spend listening to it. It's that good a book. And instead of getting that, which the original script that was put forward by J. Michael Straczynski was going to be a 3-part movie, a trilogy, and the book 1 was supposed to end with the Battle of Yonkers. Instead, we got a reduced budget, and we got Action Man doing action stuff against fast zombies, and then he injected himself with with a lethal virus, and now he's invisible to the zombie horde. That was a bullshit fucking ending to this story. And like, if you're like, it's not that bad a movie, I go, obviously you never read the book or never listened to the audio, never listened to like the story told by a from the point of view of an astronaut who had to sit there in the ISS and fight to keep communications going way longer than he should have been up there. He ended up dying in the book because he was of cancer, because he was up there too long, and but he was proud of the fact that he fought up there for as long as he did to keep global communications up and running for a little bit longer, to keep people. You got stories of like individuals who were trying to. There's a story called Radio Free Earth where a ship, a nuclear powered ship, it's a Russian ship, that was a communications array, was because they had the best radios in the world, were able to bounce. They had to listen to the world die on the radio, and then try to provide help, messages, provide assistance, provide instructions via radio to anybody who was surviving. And it's a heart-wrenching story about these poor people who they were doing a critical job. They fished people who were translators, who were fluent in multiple languages from the refugee fleets that were all scattered out there. And one by one, slowly, when the war was over, one by one, every last one of these people commit suicide because they had to listen to the world die, to listen to the world scream in bloody agony in its death throes, and they had to fucking keep going, work. They worked through the pain, through the suffering and the agony to keep doing their job. But when the job was no longer providing the pressure needed, they all killed themselves. And because of the PTSD they're suffering. And this is real shit that real people are dealing with right now. And this is a gateway for people who don't experience these things to get a view of the nightmares a lot of people when they go to sleep at night hear, and what they fight through. And we say we're going to and I'm glad you volunteer. You gave our money to the Wounded Warrior Project. I'm glad there's the 21 that there's organizations like 21 a day, and how we don't want any more. But think about this is a view for people who haven't been through this, to see what these people are, to get an idea what these people are suffering with. And we're never going to get any of this because we had to get Brad Pitt to be an action man on a screen with fast zombies, because fast zombies are scarier. No, if anything, World War Z is a scarier book because all the suffering and pain that's in this book is shit you can read. If you think about it, you can relate to. You know where it's happened. You've seen things like it happen, and it's or happening right now, and we're never getting that. And for that, I hate this movie. I don't care about the canon shit anymore. It's simply, we could have gotten a movie or a movie trilogy that could have detailed out a hint of what suffering really looks like in Misery, but with the nice little barrier of being fantasy. We could have shown what mass refugees looked like, but without having to tie it to a real event. We could have shown what combat PTSD that does to people, without having it be tied to a real event. We could have given people a view of this, of what survival,
1,000-foot view from fucking sky, where you're not right up on it, but if you look at it long enough, you're going to figure it out. You're going to understand what the character's going through.
Yeah, and that's what we were denied, and that's why I can't. That's why I can't like this movie. I went to go see it, I walked out pissed, and I'm still pissed. It's years later, and I'm still fuming over this movie on every level because of how terrible it is. And whenever anyone ever tells me, you still have the books. What did we lose? I go, I lost the ability to ever have this be mainstream. Yes, the unabridged book is 24 hours long. The unabridged audiobook is worth the 24 hours you're about to put into this. It's worth it. And because they actually put emotions into it, it feels right. When things turn around, it feels right. It feels like people who've been through it. And we've been denied this because some Hollywood exec wanted to have fast zombies.
They wanted to piss on a fucking fire hydrant.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my property.
Yeah. And they want, it's like, this is why whenever I look at any bad book adaptation, I anthropomorphize it. It's literally people taking a property, killing it, gutting it, and then wearing it like a skin suit. And that's what they do. That's why I've hated what they did to I hated what they did to World War Z. I hated what they did to whenever they make a remake of something, or when they murdered Lord of the Rings: Ring of Power, when they murdered Game of Thrones, the last season of Game of Thrones, when they murdered
the last 3 seasons of the Game of Thrones was absolute shit.
Or how they murdered Wheel of Time. People are like, oh, but the second season is so much better. No, it's not. It's terrible. It's okay. It's got things that, no, it's terrible. I understand that they did some course correcting to make it better than the first season, but that's not. But that's the bar you set was way too low, and now you go, well, I went over the bar this time. Well, good, because it was ankle high. You didn't drag your feet. Congratulations, you got over where you were. And will it get better in the future? Like, no, you've already changed too much, and they've already said that they're not going to tier in the next season. I'm like, what? You're not going to what? You're not going? Okay, all right. And you made sure Rand is the most inept hero ever. He showed up at the last second and stabbed a guy. Yeah, after everybody else did all the work for him, he went, yeah, sure, congratulations. No, terrible, and I'm sad because I keep watching all these books I love get murdered. And they go, well, you still have the books. I go, I'm never going to see a proper Wheel of Time in my lifetime. You know that, right? I'm never going to see the Silmarillion be made because you don't
like Stunning and Brave Galadriel?
Because now the problem here is I know that they weren't allowed to have the Silmarillion as source material because the Tolkien estate didn't give it to them. They only have the appendix. Which, why are you doing a 5-season series off of like 12 pages and some paragraphs? That's not enough. It's bad fan fiction. And Stunning and Brave Galadriel, this isn't her at all because I know she's the only one who during the War of Wrath came across the ocean, not because she was following Fëanor to because he's not, she wasn't following the quest for the Silmarils. She was over there because she wanted to be an empress and to rule. She wanted to be a conqueror. She went across to make her own kingdom. She wanted to subjugate people and make her own little personal empire. She wasn't out there to stop the Dark Lord. She didn't give a shit. She just saw an opportunity to go across the ocean and be the bitch queen, the bitch warrior queen that she is. And then we got discount, pathetic Galadriel, and I'm going, real Galadriel would have kicked her ass 3 ways to Tuesday. She's literally one of the top fighters of the entirety of the War of Wrath. What the fuck is this? But don't worry, she rescued Sauron from the water because she was going to go back to Valinor. What? No, she never wanted to go back to Valinor. At least not in the Second Age. Okay, I guess this is what we're doing here. Like I said, I've read shitty fan fiction on fanfic.net. That's better written than this shit.
Today.
Was that?
I read the best fan fiction today. I stayed in bed an extra half hour because I woke up and I had a theory. Like I was supposed to go to my friend's Chris's over early this morning, and we were supposed to tour the property. Which Chris is in the other game on Saturdays. Nice guy.
Yeah.
Doesn't understand people on the internet. That's okay. He's okay to be bigoted like that because he doesn't understand. He doesn't have real value for people that he sat down with in the past, and they're still alive. They're just not in front of him anymore.
Right.
Anyway, went over to his house after I stayed in bed for an extra half hour, and I read the book The Things. Have you ever read The Things?
No. I think it fan fiction based off The Thing.
It is The Thing from The Thing's point of view.
Okay, that would be a fun story.
It's an amazing story. I'll send you the link for the whole thing. Because what?
I'll probably enjoy it because that sounds like a good story.
No, it is an amazing story. It's probably one of the best stories I've read in a long fucking time, and I was surprised I slept on it.
Yeah, send me that link.
By Peter Watts. By Peter Watt. Here's I'll read the first bit of the page for you. I'm Bean Blair. I escape out the back as the world comes in through the front. I am Bean Cooper. I am rising from the dead. I am Bean Childs. I am guarding the main entrance. The names don't matter. They are placeholders, nothing more. All biomass is interchangeable. What matters is that these are all that is left of me. The world has burned everything else. I see myself through the window, loping through the storm, wearing Blair. Macready has told me to burn Blair if he comes back alone, but Macready still thinks I am one of him. I am not. I am Bean Blair, and I am at the door. I am Bean Childs, and I let myself in. I take brief communion, tendrils withering forth from my faces, intertwining. I am Blair Childs, exchanging news of the world. The world has found me out. It has discovered my burrow beneath the tool shed, the half-finished lifeboat cannibalized from the viscera of dead helicopters. The world is busy destroying my means of escape. Then it will come back for me. There is only one option left. I disintegrate. Being Blair, I go to share the plan with Cooper, and go to feed on the rotting biomass once called Clark. So many changes in so short a time have dangerously depleted my reserves. Being Childs, I have already consumed what was left of Fuchs, and I am replenished for the next phase. I sling the flamethrower on my back and head outside into the long Antarctic night. I will go into the storm and never come back.
Whew.
It is so good.
I want to read that. That honestly sounds really good.
Yeah, I'll put this in the general tab.
Awesome. I'm gonna go grab that because honestly, that's like a nice break. Because like that, I've been reading a whole lot of different shit lately because I've just been wanting a break from my usual my usual writing because I love reading a whole lot, but the thing is that everything I read is always written from an American point of view, or if I don't read an American point of view, it's a British point of view, or it's a UK point of view, or occasionally I'll read a German point of view and maybe a French point of view. A rare time it'll be a Russian, or it'll be Japanese. Those are the predominant fictions, and if I get to have an alternate American point of view, it's almost always the author goes, "Behold, Native American," and I just kind of roll my eyes because I'm like, "Oh, good, yet another story written from it's not American, it's Native American," and I'm like, I don't give a shit. Could you give me a Latin American horror story? Could you give me a story, an urban fantasy story written from, or a sci-fi story written from I don't know, Central American or South American point of view, I wouldn't mind to see what a Central American sci-fi story would look like. I want that. You know, I wouldn't mind reading a sci-fi story written from a point of view of, say, you know, a Middle Eastern or an African or an Indian, a subcontinent, or a Chinese or Southeast Asian point of view, because it would be a different, different mythology, different takes, different cultures. It wouldn't just simply be American, Russian, British, French, German. Sorry, EU, EU, Scandinavian, and if it's fantasy, dear God, it's going to only be not England, not Scotland, not Ireland, not Celts, not French, not Scandinavian, and not Germanic, not Italian, and not Spanish, with some scary not Russians and some scary not Poles that will occasionally show up as to be the exotics that are going to show up. And those are your cultures, because every culture is going to be not one of these. And I am tired of I'm tired of everything being not the fallen Western Empire. Okay, I'll have to go look that one up, because I actually want to, because I like Italian and Spanish, like I love the Italian horror movies. They're just weird as fuck, and I've seen a lot of weird stuff. But I want more takes of. I want fantasy not from a. It's just Tolkien with the serial numbers filed off, and I don't want it. It's like, because I don't want to have it be. I just want a taste of other ways of telling fiction, of other ways of telling horror. I don't want my horror lore to stop at the Rhine. All our lore comes from Bavaria. That's it. Past the Rhine is unknown territory. Sorry. That's why The Witcher was so interesting, because that was a Polish take on fantasy. And I know that, well, what about Scandinavian? Everyone's done Scandinavian now. I'm sorry. It's been kind of inundated. We're kind of buried in it, thanks to the modern culture. Plus, we all know that Tolkien just filed the serial numbers off of dwarves and elves. Yeah. There's so much material now. I can just go yay. And I know Grimm's fairy tales is just like, hey, welcome to the Bavarian horror, yay. But and France is just France. But I want some Italian and Spanish horror. I want some Balkans and Greek. I want to see. I don't want, as much as I want to say Turkey. Unfortunately, I've seen their quality of films. No, thank you. Turkish Spider-Man is no, thank you. I'm out.
Turkish Star Wars caused me to lose brain cells.
I know. Oh God, yes, and yes, I know. The Witcher is just Elric with watered down Tolkien's life, but at least it was a sufficiently different enough that I didn't feel like it was just so copied. But I've also seen some pretty interesting stories written that bring in some more Slavic shit. It's nice. It's fun. But I've been enjoying a badly translated, because it hasn't been properly translated into English. It's been a sci-fi series that when you translate it from Chinese, it means Iron Ladies. But I've been reading it, and it's like 3 kingdoms in space, but with giant robots and battle mechs and magical shit, and it's so weird, but it was a neat take.
It sounds like the type of movie I couldn't peel you away from, dude.
Yeah, it's 3 kingdoms in space. There's weird shit, and it's like, what the fuck? And and the premise is mankind went into space. Mankind found out that gods exist. The gods said, "Hey, humanity looks tasty," and then proceeds to murder like 95% of humanity, down to its last billion people. And it just happened to be a few scattered survivors of other cultures and China. that like China, parts of Japan, and Korea managed to like hold out and beat the gods, and the rest of the world pretty much scattered survivors. And now we're several centuries later, and humanity is in the aftermath of the gods slaying war, and it's full. But because the Chinese won it, they're all fighting each other because Chinese warlords do, is fight each other, and it's just like murder fest. And it's just like there's is there any form of Western religion? No, it is all entirely Buddhism, Confucianism, and Taoism, just mixing together into this horrifying nightmare of mythology and shit. And it's the Three Kingdoms period, and it's hilariously bad, and it's fucking hilarious, and I love it. But I've also read other weird stories, where it's like it's an Indian's point of view of reincarnation, but their take was, well, maybe what if certain gods, certain pagan gods of other cultures, when they died off, were reincarnated into our pantheons, but they didn't know it, and then you realize, wait, what? And it was like, this story was cool, and then like where you find out that where it's like where it starts with like a Norse mythology, but then you find out that no, Loki is just the reincarnation of Shiva, and you're like, wait, what? And then you realize, oh wait, no, this guy's the guy who wrote it's all about how you're reincarnated into the next life, and he's like, well, yeah, gods die, gods get reincarnated, they're coming, and I was like, it's the new world, next reincarnation, and the rest of the world's unprepared for it. I'm like, this is weird, this is different. I want more of this, please. Can I have a dump truck more of this shit, please? Like I want to find weird connections where certain gods have been around more and more. You just it goes to the cycle and a cycle of reincarnation. Can I have that, please? Okay. And it's like, and then you find out it's like, no, this is like the third or fourth time we've done this. Like, does the world keep like, no, the gods die. I thought we were immortal. No, we just die and we're reborn. That's just how it works. And I'm like, okay. It's like something you realize, okay, so it was Hindu, then Greek, then Norse, and now they're going back to the cycle to find new identities. Okay, this is a cool story. I want more of this. It's a weird ass book series, and I've enjoyed it immensely. And it's just these gods coming to terms of, wait, I'm actually this person? Yes. Fuck yeah. Okay. I'm on board. Give me more. And now I'm waiting for more of this stuff. And so therefore, I guess when it comes down to this, like when I'm reading these kind of books, these kind of stories, and then it's like, I like Harry Dresden, and here's me. I like vanilla ice cream too. I like the most basic, like I understand that you created the genre of the modern incarnation of the urban fantasy take on things, and that everyone's been copying your shit sense. But man, I like vanilla ice cream too. But he's a wizard. I know. He does stuff. I know. He's in Chicago. I know. And it's just like one of those things where it's like, there's so many more stories that I would love to have other people read, but I know they won't. It's like the story, like the book series that's set in Houston, Texas. It's written by an American and a Russian lady, and because they got married a while back ago, and they decided, but all their shit is set in like three of their book series are set in Texas, and because they live in Texas, and you just sit there and go, wait, what? So you can actually get out a map and go, this is actually where they're at. This is exactly where they're at. You can actually trace where everything's happening on the fucking map. And it's hilarious, but each of them was a different way. And they bring weird ass fucking shit into it, alternate worlds that are like ours, but not. But I know no one's going to read them because when they look at the covers, they see it's a romance novel. I'm like, no, it's not a romance novel. It's urban fantasy with romance that's romance adjacent.
Hmm.
But because of the fact that they see romance novel and it's written from a female point of view, I don't want to read this. This is blah blah. This is no. I just want to stick to what I know best. I'm like, fucking read it. Fucking read these series. Like, yes, 3 of the book series are set in Texas. One of them set in I and San Antonio is where one of the characters, they're outside San Antonio. They're an hour outside San Antonio is where one of the characters, one of the books is set. And because at a certain point she goes fleeing to one of her friends who lives in San Antonio, and like, yeah, that's where his house is at. And it's like, okay, cool. Another one's set in Atlanta. If you know Atlanta, boy, you can follow everything that goes wrong in the books, all 14 or 15 of them, because they're set in Atlanta. If you know the maps, you can follow.
What's the name of this book series?
Okay, so you have the Hidden Legacy series by Alona Andrews. That's set in Houston.
Okay.
The Innkeeper's Chronicles, written by the same authors, Alona Andrews, that's their pen name, is set in rural Texas, and that is a bizarre, multi-dimensional book series. That is a fun book series. There's the Edge series, which is kind of a dead series that they wrote 3 books for, and it's set in Louisiana and in Texas. And it's a bizarre ass fun book series talking about how you have parallel Earths. It's a cool book series. And then there's their Hidden Legacy series, which is set in Atlanta. And so no, Hidden Legacy, and then there's the not Hidden Legacy. It's brain. It's late. My brain is tiring. Give me a second.
See, I read a lot of Kim. I think Harrison or Harrigan.
Kim Harrison's that's set in her books are good. I like her books. Oh yeah, the Kate Daniels series, and that's set in Atlanta. No, the Kim Harrison book series is actually pretty good. I loved the gimmick of it because
if you don't find your heroine having sex with every cryptid in North America, it's fine.
No, that's not Kim Harrison. That's oh shoot, that's a different author, and she's terrible.
She's in Cleveland.
Yeah, and honestly, Kim Harrison's series is actually, it gets better. It does get a lot better, and things go wrong. But that universe was actually a really interesting universe.
Yeah, it is.
And I love the vampire issue. I love the living vampire issue. I love the idea that a plague managed to kill a significant chunk of the normal human race. And it forced all the cryptids to come out of hiding to save the world. And you're living in the post-fall universe. And there's actually a book that details the fall, the actual plague that killed humanity in the 60s. And it's a great book because it actually highlights that the elves were kind of behind it. Oops. The elves created the virus that eventually kills humanity because they were jealous of each other. There was various infighting amongst the elves, and oops, humanity almost dies. And a good 60% of humanity dies because some elves were having a fight. And the Vietnam War was happening. And oops, something went wrong. And I love the fact that there was an oops. And it was that bad. And I liked the idea of the werewolves. I liked how they did the vampires. I liked how they did everybody. I loved the demons. Algarep, the demon, is probably one of my favorite demons in all of fiction because he's just a twisted motherfucker, but he's also kind of a good guy, but not. But you have to wait until like the later books when he actually softens a bit and you find out that, yeah, some bad shit happened. You find out the elves are dying because of a blood curse that happened in the ancient days between when the elves pissed off the demons, and then banished demons to hell because the demons had the audacity to ask to go, can we be equals? We're a servant race you summoned from the warp, but we've been cooperating. Could you possibly treat us like equals? And the elves, fuck no. Well, we want to be equals. Fuck you. And so we're going to resist a little bit. And the elves were like, yeah, no, this shit ain't going to happen. Banish the entire race into hell. And in that moment got cursed to have a degenerating DNA strand, so that way their babies become less and less viable, and they eventually will die out. And the elves, and by the time you reach the modern day, the elves are desperate. They are like, we're dying, and so they pioneer genetic engineering because they're trying to figure out how to undo a curse that they didn't know was actually in effect. And it's like this cool thing, and then you find out where vampire souls go after they die. And like you find out, oh shit, they're actually this thing is happening, and there's other problems happening. It builds up to, if you can get past her early promiscuous stage, and the story turns out to be really, really, really good. And I loved it to the point where I'm just like, this is a good series. Yeah, she knows her target audience. She has to put certain things in because she knows she's writing for women. But boy, she's also good at making it an interesting world that you're actually kind of engaged in. Where, yeah, and I'm sitting here going, these are great book series. All of them are great book series, and I'll even toss in Simon R. Green's give me a second. I'm tired. Brain's trying to process information.
You're still good, man.
Yes. Simon R. Green books. His Nightside series. His Nightside series they're pulp fiction. They're short. Like I don't want to say like they're like under 250 pages a book. If you buy one or read it, it's going to be a fast read. I'm sorry, I'm a fast reader. I can, on a good day, I can plow through about 120 pages in a day. If I can sit down and just focus on a book, I can plow through. So I could eat these books up in about 2 days, 2.5 days each. And they're fun books because you're reading about, in the Nightside series, about the idea of a hidden London that's in London, where if you take a wrong corner, go down the wrong corner, and you might end up in an evil version of London, where everything terrible retreated to. So you have the nice mundane human world, and then in the world of magic that's just out of sight. Wrong corner, wrong subway door, and you're now in a hellish world where Merlin is actually evil, and his corpse is buried under a bar floor, and everyone kind of fears the day that they're like, Merlin's going to wake up one day, and they're like, yep, that's why we built the bar on top of his corpse. Why? So that way when he wakes up, we can stab him and put him back in his grave. And they're like, holy crap baskets. And like one of the later books actually deals with the return of King Arthur and how when he returns, everyone kind of goes, oh fuck, it's real. Of course we knew it was real, but we didn't think it was going to come back in our lifetime. Shit. And now they got to deal with that.
It was said he'd come back in our lifetimes.
I know, but the thing is that, one of the longer-lived races is going, yeah, but we've been saying that King Arthur was going to come back in our lifetime for the last, several generations. We thought it was just myth. And he's like, okay, so what's he got to do? Go, and, this whole thing of him trying to, find his way back to the rock that's under the British throne so he can claim his rightful place as king. And they're like, no, it's a fun book series about this. And the main character has some pretty cool powers. He's not overpowering. He's not like, I am the arc wizard who's just chosen to be No, he's got some pretty neat powers. Literally, his ability is to find things. So so he can summon things to him. That's the extent of his powers, is literally being able to call something to him. He does creative things with that power, like pull fillings out of people's teeth, or pull the bullets out of people's guns. That's the bulk of his powers. He's not super powered. He's just like, I got one trick and I'm good at it. And you're like, okay, this is a fun series, but he's got friends who are scary. And every once in a while, like in one of the books, a fourth dimensional being shows up. Like, just for a chapter, it just pokes his head in, and everyone's terrified because literally this fourth dimensional being just passes through the area. And they're like, what the fuck was that? And they're like, oh, that's a fourth dimensional being. Oh shit! It just we finally we're literally just three-dimensional creatures that can't perceive where this creature actually exists, but it just passed through where we are. Oh fuck! What do we do? Nothing. We can't touch it. We can't harm it. We just saw it pass through our area. Okay, that's weird. Yeah, it's weird, but that's what higher dimensional beings are like. Does it even notice us? Probably not. and it was like, that was just a fun side story. And yeah, you have, and they have a road of gods, the Street of Gods, where all these gods who have been forgotten live. They like, we're no longer part of anything, so we just kind of live here. And you can go down and talk to these gods. And they still have some divine power, but not much, because the real world forgot them. And they're all just like, yep. And there's, it's like, you just deal with the idea. It's like, and so therefore when some guy goes, I'm a god, and like, yeah, that's great. We know like 14. You want to go down to the homeless shelter for gods? Oh, yeah. So most people are just like, whatever. You're a god. Congratulations. There's until an actual real archangel shows up and everyone's terrified as fuck and runs the fuck away from it, because shit, God actually paid attention to us for once. Fuck, and then they run away. It's a good book series, and I wish more people would read it, but it's British pulp, and nobody really fucking reads British pulp fiction over here, and I'm sad about that, because it's like, I guess when people are like, I love Jim Butcher, I love Harry Dresden, I'm going, then you would love all of these book series I just described, all of them, because they all have a similar feel, but they're all sufficiently different, so that way it isn't just simply I copied your homework, but I changed enough so it doesn't look identical. No, they're all dealing with weird shit, and it's in their own fun, unique ways that you can just steal and try somewhere else and do whatever the fuck you want with it. And I just kind of wish that way. Ugh.
Yeah, I like Jim Butcher quite a bit. I need to read his last two books.
I like him too, but I guess I have so many books that are in my collection that I read more than just him. So
Charlotte wants to know what the names of the books are again.
Okay. All right. I covered the Hidden Legacy. By Alona Andrews, you have Hidden Legacy, The Edge, the Kate Daniels series, and Innkeeper Chronicles. Kim Harrison is Kim Harrison is the sorry. Harrison.
She is a heavy vampire and werewolf.
Yes. The Hollows.
Yes.
Kim Harrison is the Hollows. And Simon R. Green is the Nightside series. And I gotta remember what the other one I was just talking about. It's been a while since I read that one. Give me a second to go pull it up on Kindle. Library. Give me a second. Fire. No, I'm going to do. Sorry, it's been a while since I've read some of these. Book. Give me a second. Yeah, I can't remember that one. I'm going to have to get back to you on that one. Sorry, I can't remember all of them. And my it's been about a year since I listened to that book series, so it might be a what. I'm trying to scroll back through all the other weird ass shit that people have made me listen to or read or do fun stuff with. No, 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 no. God damn it. No, God, that's just dumb. Fuck. Sorry about this part. I'm just trying
It's
to go
okay.
through my collection. I have too many books and it sucks. Well, I can't have too many books, but the problem is that I share books with people, so we have a little like collection of books that we just all read, and it's terrifying the weird collection of stuff that we listen to. It helps when you have a family that you can actually talk about this stuff with. So, yeah, our breakfasts are always about weird fucking books. Oh, fuck. No, I guess I'm going to have to just say, no, no, wait, no, I don't want to start the book. Yeah, it's called the I Bring the Fire series by C. Gockel and C space Gockel, and it's a really bizarre ass series, and it's really good. But they're just if you want a different book you want to read for a while and for a different flavor of fun. It's like you're right. I don't have enough books, but unfortunately, um, my Kindle, my Audible collection only gives me one free book a month, so I can only get one new one. So we have about 200 and something on it because I buy books periodically to add to my collection to the collection, and so she buys weird books, I buy weird books, and then we compare. I try to get her to read some of my books, then she goes no, and I read some of her books. Then we end up talking about it for like the next 3 fucking breakfasts, next fucking 3 weeks of breakfasts, and yeah, it's like, but at that point you just gotta go. I don't really want to. It's like I feel like I don't want to read a romance novel. These aren't really romance. There's violence. There's a little bit of romance. Whatever. I know, icky. But they're not bad. I mean, the stories are actually engaging, and they're actually more interesting than just simply, hey, look, someone has sex in the story. Oh no, my puritanical American values that were set up by weird fucking vegetarians in the middle of the fucking in the 1800s are going to. I curse my ability to be pure, and I might get some bad thoughts and some bad energies. I must eat more granola. Just fucking bullshit, puritanical crap, Americans. God. Oh no, not the food. I know, right? No, like the more you realize some of the stupid shit that there's like behind the American puritanical movement. Fuck, I know it's fucking garbage, and I kind of like laugh now at this shit. But no, like, but when you see it, you're like, ew. people kiss in your story? I'm like, yes, it's like Princess Bride. Yes, yes, son, they kiss. Fuck off. Shit happens in these books. Whatever. But don't worry, there's plenty of violence and communication and other things, and just simply not just simply, yeah, whatever. I like these books, but I like these books, and they're fun books, and they're a nice break when you want to not read the same books you've read 14 times. Like, I know that I could go back and go, I'm going to go read Honor Harrington for the 14th time. No, I don't want to. I could go read some John Ringo again. I don't really want to. I could read me some 40K books. I don't really want to.
I want to read Honor Harrington, but at the same time, I can
No.
just look at the cover of the book and I know what I'm getting. So
It's Horatio Hornblower in space.
yeah,
That's all it is.
I mean there is a spot in the world for Horatio Hornblower, and if you really want him in space, Honor does a fine job. But
They're
good.
They're good books until about book 7, and then it stops being fun and it turns into just. I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite because I am like the king of I want to have all the space politics and I want to have all the manipulation and other weird shit that's happening, and like I want deep conspiracies, and then there's a certain point where I go, no, but it has to go somewhere. It has to build up to something, and this is bullshit. And I love the book series, but it's bullshit. Also, stop giving her more titles. I don't need Space Lord Nelson. And she is Space Lord Nelson.
You've never felt the honor and the weight of the situation until you've been on the HMS Victory, and the boatsman's telling you what happened to Admiral Nelson, and he asks, "How goes the law?"
Yeah,
and you're there, and then the boatswain tells you, "Now is when we have to have a moment of silence for Admiral Nelson." I'm like, motherfucker, there's been like 150 years of silence for this dude. He did good, but it's 1995.
Yeah. But it's like, now, mind you, I haven't had a chance to go to England yet, so I haven't had a chance to go see Victory in person. But there's a certain point. Was that? But do it? Yeah. And I want to, and someday I might be able to afford to go.
Portsmouth is actually one of the cheapest places in England that I've found. And that was just because I was looking on the web the other day, and Portsmouth is good. Liverpool is good. Newcastle on Tyne, I like it, but it's for my own reasons. We got stuck there because our ship went up the Tyne River.
Yeah.
And then we stopped at the first hydraulic swivel bridge because it's like 3 foot off the water line. So it's like, okay, we can't go any further. But that was interesting. We when we got to Portsmouth, our CO made the entire division go over to the HMS Victory because he was hearing us complain too much when we were at sea. I'm like, of course you're going to complain. We're having to work 20 hours a day. What do you expect?
Right.
No, I don't mind working long hours. I do expect to get like 6 hours of sleep every day. It doesn't have to be all at once either. You can do 3 hours here and 3 hours there. I'm good.
Right.
When we floated through the Kiel Canal, going through Denmark into Germany, or go through Germany past Denmark into the Baltic, I wasn't on the fucking emergency watch, and so they let us sleep for 6 hours. That was like the greatest time in my Navy life I've ever had.
So you knew exactly what I was describing when I said when I was talking about the World War Z retreat across the Kiel Canal in Denmark. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I've been in that. I've been in that canal.
Yeah,
the USS Defender went there because we had at the time some of the most sophisticated sonar technology the world had to offer, and they sent us there with 3 other ships. One of them being the Gladiator, poor bitch, and I'll explain that in a bit. But the Gladiator, the Warrior, and I want to say the Iron Man. I'm not certain. But us 4 MCMs went over there for Operation Blue Harrier 95. We had a lot of fun. Our ship found 13 fake mines, and we also found 2 real mines from what I suspect is World War II. The first one we detonated at about 7 in the morning, and I was on watch at the time, and so it wasn't that much of a hit to me. But we were there, and they told us all to take our fucking sound-powered headphones off if in case the sound blew through the fucking headphones. And no, instead I was on the weather decks, and I actually got to see and feel the concussion from this fucking bomb going off like 500, 600 yards away. And I guess we weren't far enough away from it, because for about a good half hour, we just kind of floated aimlessly. Or shit, some of the shit in that little ship got fucked up. It was fiberglass and wood was the construction of the MCM ships. There was no iron in it whatsoever, except whatever we carried on as jewelry, literally. So we had that experience. And then the second time, we found a World War II mine that we fucking processed. We exploded. I was asleep, but they woke me up because I was basically the fucking general quarters aft lookout, and I didn't realize I could fucking that was a mistake. So when it came time to like doing lookouts and shit, if somebody ever looks up my Bupers BS, you're gonna see like the actual fucking like he's 6 signatures away from getting expert lookout, because I've never seen incoming torpedoes or incoming missiles. I've seen incoming fire once. That was uncool. And that was because of a fucking weapons malfunction on friendlies.
Oops.
And that was not cool. But other than that, it just that shit, there's like 5 things I had to get signed off out of like 60 for expert lookout, and I would have had that, which very few people have.
Okay. I was reading. I was reading on the ship that you're on your ship. So I was like, oh, cool. Okay, I understand now. Wow. Sorry, I was trying to follow along with.
It doesn't discuss the fact that like the drone we had, the little tethered wire drone with a little angry face on the side. When we sent that down for the second bomb that we exploded, when we brought it back, it looked like it looked like a little Titan sub after the implosion.
Oops.
Because like our fucking ops boss didn't know how to use a fucking Microsoft stick at the time, and this is like 1995. Most of us have been to the arcade. Most of us played Zaxxon. We know what a joystick feels like, and this guy sure as shit didn't. Should have sent me down there, boss. I play Super Nintendo. I know what to do.
Right. Excuse me. Okay.
Yeah, that was USS Defender. One of our sister ships was sent over to the West Coast after I think 2008 or 9. That was USS Gladiator, and some odd reason USS Gladiator found a fucking reef it just could not get off during some low tide. Bad CO, bad seamanship fucking practice. And he rounded the fucking ship, which it didn't really have a big draft. If you ever see the MCMs, they're squat, fat, and they draft shallow. They really do. So this guy found a fucking reef, and he fucking perched it on the reef. And I mean, he just fucking ground the shit out of the thing. And over the next like 36 hours, they fucking had to abandon ship.
Wow, only 15-foot draft. That's not much.
I told you.
I know. That's not much at all. They're all so tiny. Sorry, I had to look it up because I'm just like, okay, because in my collection of weird books, I don't have anything for the small ships yet. So
I don't even think they make books on the MCM ships. I don't even know if any of those are still floating, because they're kind of okay. They're good against mines. They're not good for anything else.
Looks like they're most looks like about half of them have been. The first 5 have been decommissioned, and the rest are being proposed for the next couple fleet years.
Yeah, that the littoral ships came out, and
Yeah.
one of the rules, littoral combat ships. We can talk about this for a minute.
Yeah,
Littoral combat ships were supposed to come out and take on the role of sub hunter, mine fucking eliminator, Minecraft ship, and then it was also supposed to have a fucking helo, and it's supposed to be like a multi-role ship, right? But let me tell you something about multi-role ships. They don't work.
I know.
And this one here, like, doubly doesn't work because somebody kept sending bad ideas back to DC. Like, we want to do this. We want to do this. Well, let's get a committee for this. And sometimes that can work because, like, we have the Bradley armored fucking personnel vehicle that's got 2 fucking wired missile launches and, you know, a turret gun on it. And, you know, it's just an amazing little thing. The Bradley actually pretty much fucking works, and it has a good work record because we put good people inside it that work within the system, and they make shit, you know, sing. They make shit fucking roll natural 20s.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to start saying we rolled, you know, 100 on a D percentile. Well, that can happen sometimes, but littoral combat ships are actually what happened when you send a bad idea and then you pair it up with some nepotism BS, and they have the littorals, which they were supposed to take all these different roles, and in the process decommission like 50 different ships. You can finally get rid of the mine countermeasure ships. We can finally get rid of the mine hunter craft ships. We can finally get rid of all the Knox class frigates. We can get rid of all of these horrible fucking outdated designs. And here's the new littoral combat craft, and it's a stealth ship. Look at the angles on it. It's great. And they put it in the water, and within like 5 to 10 years, the welds come loose, and you can't go over 7 knots in the ocean.
And that was assuming that the engines weren't breaking down immediately upon going out to sea.
Oh,
that
yeah.
Forgot. Yeah, or how the first one broke down, literally trying to go from just trying to leave.
They're trying to leave port.
Leaving port and trying to get to San Diego from where it was commissioned, and it broke down trying to get to Panama, and it was towed the rest of the way. And I'm like, oh fuck!
Like, ever since I got out of the Navy, out of active duty, shipside Navy, like, there's been nothing but fucking fails up and down the fucking Navy fucking records. I mean, they were there before, but you really pay attention to it when you leave the job and you want to make fun of it. You're like, I need ammunition. Well, fuck, that gave me a plenty. Because, like, the first time the USS Ronald Reagan left a fucking port, the radar goes down, the navigation officer, the quartermasters, they fail. And so the ship starts wandering around like that one container ship before it hits the Suez Canal. It doesn't draw a dick with its fucking profile, but it basically does draw a dick because it doesn't know what the dick it's doing. And so, like, it staggers around like Ronald Reagan in Alzheimer's mode stage 4.
Mm-hmm.
And this was like in the mid to late 90s. It was just a fucking comedic festival. The brass, like, there were people who, like, they thought they had, you know, I just got 2 more years and I'm out. I can leave DC. I'm done with naval warfare. I'm done with college, blah, blah, blah. No. People got broomed out fast when the Ronald Reagan started making a bad fucking set of headlines. And ever since then, when I left shipside Navy, like, things have never been good. You know, you could say maybe it was the admiral that went from seaman to admiral, and then, you know, he was living high. He's an 08 or 06 or something. He was big. He was real big. And then somebody's like, you know what? I'm going to look at his shoulder board and see exactly what accreditations he really deserves. And come to find out, like, 3 of the ribbons he's wearing have nothing to do with his personnel file. So he ends up having a cleaning session with his throat in a 45 ACP.
Oof.
Yeah, I mean, he got found out. If you want to lie, that's cool. You can do that.
Yeah.
Don't lie on paper. And that's what he did. I mean, he made it to where, like, hey, give me these ribbons.
Yeah.
You don't nilly yourself. And that's what the guy did. And ever since I left Shipside Navy, like, things have not been, we are still waiting for our General Mattis to be brought into the admiralship of the United States Navy, and it hasn't happened. We haven't had a good leader in the Navy for years. We've
And
had a lot of career politicians go in and out, but we've not had a good leader. And nobody's in there. Nobody's in there proudly saying, "I fucked up. Blame me for Littoral. Blame me for the Littoral combat ship fiasco because these ships are less than 10 years in the water, and we're having to recruit half the fleet."
they're already decommissioning them.
Yeah.
But don't worry, I think we're not going to get anything new anything better for a while because we're still dealing with the fallout from the Fat Leonard scandal.
Wait, Fat Leonard?
Fat Leonard. Okay. This is fucking up the entire Pacific Fleet right now. Well, it's been fucking it up for a while now. And okay, so in short, this is dealing with corruption that was happening in the fleet from about 2000 to the mid 2010s, as the Navy was trying to find ways to, supplement supporting the fleet, getting resupplied down in the Southeast Asia. Well, what if a man bribed a large number of officers in the U.S. in the Seventh Fleet with hundreds of thousands of dollars in return for classified material and the movement of the U.S. Navy fleet, and he bribed them with money, vacations, trips, and ham. And the Navy is still currently purging right now the ranks of the upper echelons of captains on through admirals. And so far, we have 33 individuals charged. 22 have pled guilty, as several of them have been pretty high up there, including an NCIS agent who was in on it. And yeah, the entire promotion ladder right now in the Pacific has been fucked since about the mid 2010s because they've been investigating this so badly, and it's just gone utter nightmare right now. And yeah, the scope of the investigation has covered over 440 people, including 60 admirals.
Jesus.
Yeah, everything's a mess right now in the Pacific. Like, Seventh Fleet is not pretty. And they're going after everybody.
I think I kind of remember part of this, because this was going on back in 2017 when Houston flooded, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Seventh Fleet was having a real problem with, like, ships. Like, not only was Fat Leonard going on, but you had fucking ships drowning out in the Pacific Fleet, like, repeatedly. And so the Duffel blog, one of my favorite.
I love that.
Yeah, the naval satire. It's the Onion for Navy, for the Army.
I get their emails just because I want to read them.
It puts you in a good mood.
It does.
Supposedly during Hurricane Harvey, the Navy 7th Fleet threw some ships to Houston to help out with relief efforts. And one of the captains was getting broomed out because he ran his fucking guided missile frigate into a skyscraper.
Let me see if I can find the photo.
What did you hit? A sandbar? A reef? A rock underwater? A magnetic problem? Something? No, I hit a skyscraper. Fuck! How? How'd you hit it? I just hit it. I didn't see it, Cap. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to laugh there. I'm done. I'm done laughing. No, I'm not. See, by learning shit like this, and I do, it's because I want to make my games when I'm GMing better. But then I see shit like this.
It's in private chat. Go ahead and we can look at that. And the fact that it made Snopes.
Rating false. Bullshit, Snopes.
Yeah, a satirical article about a Navy destroyer colliding with a building during Hurricane Harvey was mistaken for real news. False. This was a photo they put up with it.
Honestly, I wouldn't. I know it's a double blog, but I would have put like I believe it. With how stupid Houston is, somehow it hit a shit. Like it's Houston. I believe it.
The city of Houston hasn't seen enough tragedy due to the catastrophic flooding from Hurricane Harvey. Things took a turn for the worse today after a U.S. Navy ship collided with a building in the downtown area. The ship was identified as an Arleigh-class destroyer belonging to the Navy's 7th Fleet. It's unclear why the destroyer was not able to see the building and take evasive action, or why it was over 20 miles inland trying to navigate through a major metropolitan area.
It was lost. I'm sorry. It got lost. But yeah.
And every story you read on Duffel Blog, we are in no way, shape, or form a real news outlet. Everything on this website is satirical, and the content of the site's parody of a news organization. No composition should be regarded as truthful. No reference of an individual company or military unit seeks to inflict malice or emotional harm. All characters, groups, and military units appearing in these works are fictitious. Any resemblance to real persons, living or dead, or actual military units or companies is purely coincidental. Somebody still thought that they could put it on, push it to Snopes, and like, I think this is real.
No. But honestly, with some of the stupid shit that's happened, I believe half of it sometimes. But no. But the thing here is that I've listened to a lot of different. I read a lot of different things. I listen to a lot of different groups, and when the Moskova sank last year, a bunch of people really got into it and started discussing it, and I learned a lot of shit. And like somebody like goes, I know it. Like here, read some books. Here's some very very dry paperwork, and if there's one thing I can say about the U.S. Navy, they know how to write a very, very. They can make sex boring in their reports. It would be boring.
And dry to a new level.
Yes, and reading about the Bunker Hill and the Franklin and the Forrestal fires, because I was trying to study at the time. I wanted to get a better grasp on how damage control worked, and so, in light of the loss of the Moskva, which was terrifying, and listening to a guy who was an ex-damage control officer talking frankly about what happened and going, no, this is what I can identify from being somebody who did this for a living, and he's identifying the problems like what he was seeing with peeling paint or with fire damage or with how the mains were lost as fast as they were or how the fire hoses were set up. That ship was abandoned before it sank. The crew gave up, and he's an older officer, so he was, and then he's sitting here proceeding to bitch about the Bonnie Dick when it burnt down in port in San Diego dockside, and it burnt down. And he's like, that shouldn't have happened. And he's talking about this, and it's like, here, you want to read how people who fucking fought for their lives kept their ships afloat, and then some guy couldn't, and then an accident happens and they lose a ship in port? No, read about how people who actually tried kept these 3 carriers afloat, and then read the report on the Bonhomme Richard and see how they did it fucking wrong. And I'm like, oh fuck. And it's like, it was he went at it from like, he wasn't trying to insult me for going, I don't know. I never went to the programs. I don't know what it's like. He goes, let me explain. And then he proceeded to teach and to explain, different techniques, different things. Here's the reports. Read them. And fuck blue shit. The Bureau of Ships can't fucking write a report that's entertaining in any way, shape, or form, but it was educational as fuck. And getting to read about, the Forrestal Fire, getting to read about Bunker Hill and Franklin. These were interesting stories for, like, I don't want to say interesting stories. These were educational documents that taught some terrifying fucking things, like where fire's scary, fire on boat scary, ocean is evil.
Fire on boat, the nastiest thing you'll ever fucking have to deal with in this world.
Yeah, and it put things. And the thing is that since he was a damage control officer, he's explaining like everything in more visceral terms. That is like, there's one thing from I read a book to having it be explained to me, watching the videos, watching things, and like suddenly going back and re-listening to documentaries, like, oh, this is what happened, and then being able to pull open the actual report and then tracing what's actually happening as it's being described and going, okay, so this is what happened, and at one point the whole ship's on fire. Oh fuck. And looking at all of this and then figuring out what's going on. And like, again, I'm reading it mostly because, I want to understand. 2, I want to know that if I'm, as a GM, can actually do not make a mockery of it. I don't want to make a bad parody. I don't want to insult. I want to make sure that if shit goes wrong, I can describe it right. And I know that. Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No. But like, I want to describe these. I wanted to describe things in an interesting manner, and that way, if I play, like when I say I want to play a ship's engineer, I don't want to be a bad mockery of one. I want to actually play. I want to actually play it well enough that I know it's a role-playing game. I know it's a game. I know I don't have to be accurate, but I don't want to do it badly. I don't want to do a terrible mockery. I want to actually, be able to portray some of these, some of these crazy ass nuclear technicians or the weird ass guys who are down in the engine rooms doing crazy shit because, well, that's what they do. I don't want to have a freak out, not a moment of shit's going wrong and not knowing what to do. I don't want the GM to force feed me the information. So therefore, it meant learning. I was like, because I was wanting to understand. I bought this book just so I could understand and read just the basics to understand terminology and what terminology, basic discipline, basic things. I know there's advanced books that handle all of that, and I know where to find them. But now I at least go. I at least can know I'm not going to do a bad job from this point forward as a storyteller and as a player, because I don't want to be miserable. I know I can just simplify everything. But the thing is that you have to at least have a good grasp of what you're going to do before you simplify, before you make a bad assumption, before you make a simple parody. Knowing what an average day is like means it's like, yeah, I have a miserable idea that, yeah, this is what it's going to be like. I don't really know, but I know enough to make a good enough.
You didn't experience it yourself, but you could at least envision it
Study.
and possibly describe it yourself enough
Yeah,
to where you're able to like interpret what's going on. And whenever
yeah,
you read the bland ass Navy reports, like what was going on during the Forrestal, initially, like there's a little bit of confusion because they give you such a clear fucking indication of what happened. It happened in 1965. We have cameras rolling. So we have numerous people that have written and sanitized these reports and taken all the sexiness out of it. And then, like, you see people coming up from the underside of the ship, and they're carrying fire hoses, and then a fucking explosion happens, and they get all blasted off their feet, onto their asses, and they don't move again. And you have no idea what the fuck's going on. And the narrator says, the fire emergency team has now been eliminated. And you're like, oh, well, what? Oh, they're all dead. Fuck. And
fuck.
then, like, things start to catch fire real bigly because 2 bombs and maybe 3 bombs have gone off on the fucking deck of this stupid ship.
Mhm.
And they were dumb for keeping fucking Senator McCain's, or yeah, Senator, or the future Senator McCain as a pilot. I tell you what, he was the best fucking pilot for the Viet Cong. He destroyed three aircraft for them throughout his career. He destroyed one, and it sank to the bottom of the fucking Nueces County here because we were close to Kingsville, and he couldn't fucking fly a plane to save his ass. Then he lost another plane on top of the Forrestal because he was the operator at the time. I'm sorry, you can say, well, there's a fire going on. No, he was in the pilot seat. He was an operator. Operator error, plane burned down. Part of that entire fiasco, some people even say he was part of the reason for it because him and other hotshot pilots would fucking squirt afterburner before they even take off. They're fucking getting a wet start, and they get a little bit extra propulsion by dropping afterburner or direct JP5 right behind them, so it helps them whoosh off the fucking catapult faster.
Yeah.
And then that's plane number 2. The third plane, he got shot down in over Vietnam, and they captured his ass, and thankfully they broke his shoulder so he would never fly again. Because I think the United States Navy would be stupid enough once they got him back. Oh, are you good enough to fly? Well, get back in there and
Yeah,
we'll break another plane because we're that fucking dumb.
yep.
I have no love for that guy. I would spit on his grave. And so anyway, yeah, the reports from all these things, they take the sex out. What you really need to do, if you can find a news report from like the BBC or
Oh yeah.
overseas, the UK reports are the best because they will fucking give you emotion while shit's going on, and then they will make sure that you have the emotional fucking weight hit you in the chest while you're experiencing it, and then afterwards you might as well just go get your PTSD meds. Like if you could find a report from the UK or BBC on the Forrestal, you can get everything that first time experience, but you probably can't because finding something other than the sanitized bullshit U.S. military fucking reports and what we did to revitalize our Navy's fire response for shipboard services, they will suck out all the joy. They will suck out all the emotion on this.
Oh yeah.
And now I've studied the Forrestal event quite a bit because I was forced.
Well, it was part. It's like if you're gonna learn how to. Yes, I understand, but yeah, no. This is another book that taught me way too much about that fire because it was part of the designing process for other. Because this book here, Illustrated Design History, and it's the Forrestal has a massive chapter just dedicated to it, and which it's the Forrestal and then the other diesel carriers that followed on after it. All the things that where they used the fire to prepare what future ships would be built after it, so that way they wouldn't have a problem with it. And I'm like, oh goody, this is the most driest but best reference book I've owned. It's worth the mountain of money I paid for it. because it allows me to now look at things and go, oh, I can describe things. Again, it's all about trying to describe things better and make things a bit more visceral when trying to just explain things to people. And also, when I listen to other people tell me stories, now I can go, okay, I can follow along now. I'm not just sitting here staring blankly at. I'm not going to be just staring blankly at like Dave Searing-esque person telling me a story now. And I can go, I have no idea what you're talking about. And I hate not knowing. So I learn. And I spend hundreds of dollars to learn. Hundreds and hundreds of dollars to learn. Because I'm dedicated to the craft. I want to understand everything that's happening. Because I hate not knowing. I hate not knowing. And I want to play, and side note, Charlotte, I want to play High Fleet, but it's on my wish list, but I never get around to buying it because it looks interesting, but I haven't got around to it because I have other things to spend money on at the moment. But one day I'll get around to it. And I also listen to a different YouTube channel for all of my wonderful naval news updates. For I listen to Sub Brief for my wonderful naval news updates for all the weird shit that's happening out there every week. And yeah, just because I wanted to have more than just simply wait for CNN to tell me a breaking news story. I don't want that. I just want weird ass shit. But yeah, I listen to a lot of fun, odd groups of people tell me strange stories, and I'm always happy about it.
I'm looking at the trailer for High Fleet Dos in Nobis. I've never heard of this game.
It looks interesting. It looks really interesting, but my biggest fear is simply the fact that my high action reflexes aren't nearly good enough anymore to do something that's requires me to do anything more than slowly move my cursor over to hit the button every 29 seconds to go fire another round at somebody.
I can understand that.
Like World of Warships is very, very the pace I can handle anymore because it's just simply hit W key 4 times to hit max speed, and move mouse slowly to where I think bullet will land in 10 seconds. Fire.
Yeah.
Sit. Wait. Fire.
We've been talking about World Warships. I'm having to tell myself, do not install.
Do not install.
Do not install. I fucking hate that game so much.
I do too. Because carriers suck. And some suck. Submarines shouldn't do 34 knots underwater. No, a World War II German submarine should not do 28 knots surfaced.
No.
A Type 9 should not do 28 knots surfaced. It should do 19. That's how fast they went. I know. I've got the books for one. But that game is mostly made up bullshit now. It's just fucking.
Yeah, they've lost all their fucking all their genes. Warfare people have left, and they just have the European model girl that puts up stuff in the commercials, and you spend your DLC money on her so she can be the captain of your ship like 4 ships over. I have no need for that. at all.
Don't worry, they do their periodic anime sales, so you get all your anime girls as captains. They did recently a Megadeth promo, so you get Dave Mustaine as a captain.
No, I'm good. I don't need that DLC.
And if you get, like, I was still playing when they did the Dave Mustaine thing, and if you get Dave Mustaine you got a choice between Dave Mustaine or the undead guy who's the cover cover guy for the band, on all the shitty covers. The skeleton, yeah, that guy. You can have him as the captain instead, and when it's playing, and when he's your and when that's the captain, in the background it plays Symphony of Destruction in the background. Ooh.
But I can alt tab and I can just go to YouTube Music and find
Play Symphony of Destruction, right?
And I can drop the volume down to where it's at cinematic levels for blowing up German subs with homing torpedoes. Because
they're faster than some battleships.
Yeah, they're faster than the fucking battleships of the 1940s. Like, how did that happen?
I don't know, because it's the only way they'll stay competitive in high end play. They're not supposed to be. The only people who fucking the Japanese failed miserably at this.
The game that I would like to play, and I guess I could do it because it would take me about an hour to find all the stuff to set it up, but I could get Red Storm Rising from 1989.
Yeah, it's an oldie.
That's one of the oldest submarine battle games.
It's a good one.
Microsoft, yeah, it was a great one. It was the second best one after Silent Hunter.
Yeah. Because I owned. There was 4 submarine games I played back in the ancient days. Because that was my dad and I used to play competitively, not competitively, but we kind of cheer each other on to see who could do better on a patrol, and see who could sink more shit. And then compare each other, compare each other's notes, because we both played the original Silent Service on the NES, and that game's fun, but boy, is it primitive. Then we had Silent Service 2 on our 286 computer, and every weekend we would have a little go out and do one sub patrol, go out there and sink as much shit as humanly possible, and compare notes on who sank more shit better. And that was a fun game. And yeah, he was really good at driving Gato class subs, and I was really good at driving the Narwhal. Because I'm like, big slow cruiser, I like it more. And he's like, why? Well, unlike you who uses torpedoes, I use deck guns a lot. And the Narwhals came with two 6-inch deck guns, which hit harder from longer range. And he's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I kill freighters with deck guns. I don't. And he's like, oh fuck. And that's how it's like. And he's like, well, okay, I understand. And it came like we kept on comparing notes on how to be a better sub killer. And we were just comparing notes on how to sink sink Jap ships better. And so here's me, little young brat, my dad, who's an Air Force mechanic, comparing notes on how to drive Navy subs better. It was beautiful. And then we got Red Storm Rising, which I learned to I learned to love the waterfall display, because that was the best part of that game, was identifying what I was hunting. It wasn't just pop periscope, look for a ship hull. and go, okay, I know what I'm hunting. No, it was okay. Here's the waterfall display. Check check the book. Find out what the whole, what the sound form looks like. Guess, and then go from there. And then I upgraded to 688 attack sub. That was which was weird. The game was good, but not that great. And then I played Silent Hunter, which was which was an amazing game. Which was again, Dad looking at me funny and going, "Ah, we're back in World War II hunting sinking ships. That I know the modern era, yeah, but I'm okay." And we had a lot of fun playing those games because I don't know, the two was bonded over sinking freighters. That was like our greatest hobby in life was sink freighters. Or God help us if we could see a Kirov or a Kiev class, Kirov battlecruiser or Kiev. It's like I'm going for it. I'm going to go for it. Of course, Dad. No, you don't go for it. That's literally the middle of the entire fleet. I can do it. I can do it. I can fucking do it. Sometimes yes, most of the times no. But it was damn the effort. You fucking try. And it's the biggest thing in the fleet. You gotta sink the fucker. And and having Dad sitting over my shoulder like, careful, you gotta watch out for the. It's like it was kind of fun, like whatever I was trying to do, and having him over my shoulder going, "Hey, gotta watch out for this thing. It's over here. You gotta worry about halos. There's a Cinnamon line being dropped out there. You gotta watch out for that shit." And I'm like, okay, I'll keep. I'm trying. I'm young. I barely know what I'm doing. I'm like, what at that point, 12, 13, and trying to figure out how to sync shit better. And I fucking loved that game. That was my favorite thing in the entire universe. And it's like, and therefore, when Cold Waters came out, which is the modern version of Red Storm Rising, and that game is just evil. And I'm like, do any of my tricks still work? Yes. I can still do about 2/3 of my tricks. I'm rusty as fuck. Every once in a while, I'll load up Cold Waters and then go take a fucking 688 attack sub out and go see how much shit I can sink. Because that's what you fucking do in these games. And do I always survive? No. But that was fucking fun. And that was the whole point. And it makes me feel like I'm still playing that shitty old EGA monitor 386 computer with 16 goddamn colors and looking at and looking up handbooks along the way to learn how to play a game. I was okay with this shit. That was my fucking bread and butter, and yeah, only because of the fact that I have a propensity towards getting hurt badly from it. For doing stupid shit, and then being laid up for an entire summer because I have a hole in my arm, or I have a knee that's been busted up, or an ankle or a sunburn so bad that it's blistering. So I can't go out and have fun. I only have a nuclear attack sub to drive. So yeah, that's my life.
I didn't have a lot of new stuff. I mean, I had a Commodore 64 from 87 till 95 or so.
Yeah.
And kind of upgraded up to the PS1. Got a PS2 in 2007, I think. The computer that I'm streaming on right now that's having the bugs with OBS and StreamYard like every other computer I know of, it was bought in 2015. It's got a 32 gigs of RAM in it. I do need to upgrade some stuff, probably the vid chip, probably the GPU, of course, and I think the capture card's good, but I need to work on the battery. I'm not worried about it right now. This is just future stuff, but I never did upgrade to 688 attack sub. I always saw it in the magazines because if you read the magazines, they talk about the newest game and they talk about their latest kill count, and they would always talk about 688 attack sub. And then there'd be one guy at the end of the article for Commodore magazine or for Run magazine. They would talk about and I fired up a copy of Red Storm Rising and I ended up playing from like 8 p.m. at night till 7 p.m. the next morning, or 7 a.m. the next morning, and I screwed up my entire schedule because of that game.
Because it,
And that was how I knew that I was still playing a good game, because there was a guy in there that basically was reassuring those of us that didn't have the newest, shiniest computer at the time to go ahead and keep playing the games you love.
yeah.
And if it still provides you fun, do it. And that's why after 25 years, I'm still playing Quake 1 and Quake 2. I love the remasters for those. And
Oh yeah.
good God. And then, I mean, he was just there to reassure you, like, if you can have fun with the game, have fun with it. You don't have to buy the game when it's fresh out. You can buy it 2-3 years from now, still have
Yep.
fun. I'm having fun with Red Storm Rising. It was my first time through the campaign, and I got my ass handed to me. And I felt good because the first time I played it, I got my ass handed to me. I had to play that game numerous times before I could develop a couple winning attack strategies, depending on what I was dealing with. If it was a surface fleet, I would run active radar, get up to the fucking surface, or 30 feet below the fucking surface where you basically are surfaced, run the opposite or parallel direction to the fleet that you're attacking, and just launch all the tomahawks you got.
Oh yeah.
4 tomahawks in the air, and there's a good chance you're going to at least have 75% hit solution on it, and you're going to have some good returns. But they are going to try to get some torpedoes in the water after you, or if they've got helos, they're going to be dropping that shit on your ass. So you got to figure out real quick how to evade and how to not get hit if you're going to stay visible with active radar and active sonar going. So fuck me, I mean, I either I would do that, or I would develop this super silent creep up, get the firing solution to 98% or higher, and then I'd start running parallel to them or kind of off to the side behind them a bit, to where their towed sonar array would possibly pick me up, but most often, no, it didn't. And I would drop Mark 48 torpedoes in and get like 3 or 4 of those, or I'd hold one in the chamber and see how I could figure out how to sink them that way if I was hunting subs. That game was so brutal to me. That's probably one of the best games for my money. And Charlotte's talking, you got to play High Fleet, and I looked at the trailer. It looks okay. Cold Waters looks like my speed.
Cold Waters is definitely it's definitely, like, if you enjoyed Red Storm Rising, Cold Waters though is a bit of a brutal beast when it comes to it's not kind on your computer. It is not, especially if you go after and some of the shit, like, it's a bit more accurate on how things perform than Red Storm Rising was. Duh, a lot of years, a lot more information, and you get to realize that the Russian subs are both awesome and terrible at the same time, and that certain torpedoes do certain things differently, and you learn the terror of that, and so you're like listening for, okay, is that torpedo moving at a certain speed? Okay, that might be that type. Okay, that's a wake homer, so I don't have to worry about that one. That one's gonna, so that's an acoustic homer. That one's a wire guide. That one's just that one will do an S formation, but it won't turn around. And if you actually do the Red Storm Rising campaign, which is pretty much what it is, it ends with the worst mission you could ever do, and it sucks so fucking much. And that's the cruise missile. That is the cruise missile strike at the backfire base mission, which involves you having to sail up, like, go to periscope depth, fire 4 tomahawks, reload, fire 4 more tomahawks, reload, fire 4 more, because you got to put 12 in the air, and then you got to run, and oh fuck, run, as everything of the universe is now coming for you and trying to kill you, and you're trying to turn this, you sit there, keeping the bow pointed to where you need to, firing as fast as you can, load as fast as you can, fire, load, fire, and then turn, go from a dead stop, like almost dead stop, because the it's shallow, so you can't dive deep. There's like the thermal layer is way too fucking like it's almost a sea bottom, so you can't dive to that. You're literally outrunning, out dodging everything being shot at you, everything being dropped on you, and you're just trying to run the fuck away. And much like the novel, everyone is out to kill you, and now you're just trying to just dodge everything, and it's a miserable experience because it's like you're spending like almost an hour and a half creeping into launch position, and then you launch, and then you're like terror for the next 2 hours as you're dodging the universe, trying to get to deep water so you can dive, and then dodge everything for the next hour and a half past that. So like you're on a terror-filled adrenaline rush for a good solid like 3 to 4 hours to play this one mission, and it sucks so bad. I hate it.
Sounds like fun, but man, it sounds like it'd make your asshole pucker.
Oh yeah, and by the end of it, and if depending but by the end of 3 to 4 hours, if you've done everything right, you win. But your hand is trembling because you've literally been like stressed out for the last ever because you're just watching shit being dropped everywhere, fucking everywhere, and there's a good chance you're not going to miss. You're going to win the mission because you launched all the missiles, but you ain't gonna survive it. And it's like, and you could do everything right, everything fucking right, and then some frigate just rolls over you and just randomly is firing off RBUs in every fucking direction, and you're just sitting here doing everything fucking right, and then you just explode because shit just fell on you that day. Because he's just running around and you just can't get out of the way because you watch it coming in like a freight train. The chug, 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 chug. You watch this Krivac come charging at this Grisha come running at you, and you're just sitting here going, "Please turn, please go somewhere else. I'm silent. You haven't found me. You're too fast. You're too noisy." No, he's just fucking World War II depth charging. Boom, 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 and you're just sitting here watching it. And like, I can't move. If I move, 3 ships are going to triangulate my position and I'm going to die. I can't move. I'm watching it happen. And then suddenly you're hit and you're like, okay. What do I do? Do I have enough reserve buoyancy? Can I get back to the surface? Or at least get to a shallower depth so that way my pumps can kick back in enough to pump water out so I don't die at the bottom of the ocean. And you're just like, oh fuck, just blow tanks. I gotta go to the surface. And at that point, you just get deck gunned and just everyone just shoots at you and you die. And you're like, fuck, gotta do it again. I'll do it next week. I need to relax and calm, walk away from the game for a while. Then you come back and try again. I think out of the 8 times I tried to do that mission, I've been caught twice just going to the launch place. I had once where a bear dropped a torpedo on me while I was reloading for the last salvo of missiles. So I failed at launching. On the next 5, I've had one. I've been sank by everything, and I had one where I escaped, and I was done. I'm like, I have won the shit mission. I am done. I am going to walk away from this game. You want to play it more? No, I'm done. I have beat game. Game is over. But you love some games. Not anymore. I love this game. I'm going to go do something else in my life now. My asshole can't fucker that much more.
See, there's very few games that I really get a visceral thrill out of, and like submarine games like Red Storm Rising and Cold Waters are not games. They're like Quake or Doom Eternal. They're not quote unquote supposed to be fast action games, but whenever they turn into like fast action games, your body has a lot more violent reaction to success or failure than you do while playing Doom Eternal or Quake.
Yeah.
You have that serious amount of like endorphin rush, and then the release once you finally do it right, and you're like, oh God, I lived. Fuck. And you're like, I only tried like 9 separate times and spent this entire weekend reading up on various plot points and guides and discussions and walkthroughs and how to exactly mimic someone else's formula of success. And I finally got it. But it cost me 2 days, and now I got to go to bed because it's Monday.
I know.
Yeah.
And my adrenal gland is fucking shot because I now have an instinctual fear of the sound of a bear bomber flying overhead. Just nope. Nope. I'm nobody out of this. I'm out. Done. Because and I had a game where I was playing. Once again, it was Cold Waters, and I had a near miss detonation of a torpedo, and it buckled crap, mid-ship. The reactor wasn't hit, the engine room wasn't hit, but there was a definite, there was flooding. But the problem was I was already at near test depth. It was like hugging the bottom, trying to hopefully that fuck their radar up. But lucky near miss, and ship is flooding. Problem here is, so we contain the flooding, but the problem is that I'm so far down, water pressure is not allowing the pumps to be able to pump anything out to be able to get enough buoyancy to go back up. And so I'm sitting here on the bottom, stuck. I can't go up. And so I'm literally dragging the ship along the silty bottom because I see a rise ahead. And I steer the ship up. The rise is only a mere 30-foot rise off the seabed. Drive the ship up, and at the top of the hill, the pumps finally start being able to cape. The pressures drop enough to let the water start pumping out of the ship. And it creaks painfully off the bottom. And it just starts, and I'm like sitting here going, this has been a 45-minute just death crawl towards this hill. Like, come on, let the hill be enough to get off and it's like, and it comes up, and I'm like, miracles! The ship's gonna make it back home. And it's like I've been dead. Like, the Russians must have thought I was dead because they've all left the area, and I'm like creeped to the surface, pump the ship out, and then creak. Creep home creep home, and they're like, what the fuck happened? We almost drowned horribly. But you brought the ship back. I brought the ship back.
I want to say thank you to our friend Fat Steven Seagal, Justice Fats. He sends us $2 Canadian. Says, Bruce, smells like Machini's drawings. While I'm on the quick subject of merch and other things, I did get involved with the membership program at YouTube, and appreciate everybody that's joined up so far. Today, Flady joined up with us, and I know he's already gone to bed, but he'll be listening to this tomorrow whenever he's doing some work for the fine veterans of this nation. And I would like to say thank you to Flady, along with our other subscribers on the membership side, Mr. Dimart and the Crafting Gamer. Appreciate all three of you gentlemen. Don't expect everybody to do Machini. What, dude? You serious, man? Well, on the hot steps of Bruce Smells Like Machini's drawings, Machini draws for $5 American. Bruce, don't listen to him, okay?
Fuck yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen. I really appreciate that. Machini, how you doing, sir? I know you're running a stream here in about 8 hours. I hope you get some good sleep for that. I hope you have a good week. I miss streaming with you on Sundays, but my life is changing a little bit here. We'll be doing alpha testing, so I think I'll be doing that on Sundays
before we start watching various series and movies and such. But really appreciate seeing you again, sir, and look forward to catching your live streams in the mornings. Makani Draws is a accredited journeyman artist and illustrator, and he was the first YouTube show that had me on as a regular panelist. Thank you, Makani, for that. Yeah, that was a lot of fun, sir. We'll be getting back, I assume, at some point in the future. But for real, bro, we're aiming for next Sunday before Halloween to get the show back together. Oh, shit. That's for 10 American dollars. You didn't have to do that. Seriously. Within the last 3 minutes, had Steven and Makani drop here some De Niro, and I appreciate that. We'll be getting that forwarded to the people who do need that. And lately, the Wounded Warrior Project has helped us out quite a bit, and they've been putting this together. I know you're supposed to keep the money for yourself or forward it to your expenditures, and I'm sure that will happen sometime soon as the inflation demon gets ever closer. Next Sunday before Halloween to get the show back together. That sounds great. I'm looking forward to it. Been working on these Big Trouble in Little China figs, and I know that my panelist Chimerian here is like, who's the Makani guy? Well, there used to be a guy on Sundays during the afternoons I would stream with him. And Makani draws a lot of ladies of culture. This is am I blanking on Grace? Is it Grace Jones?
It's
For
it's
Big Trouble in
Grace.
Little China?
It's Gracie.
Gracie? Yeah. Then you have the standard thug. I've just got them dressed up with the San Diego colors, I guess you'd say navy colors. Getting the colors down, and I need to get working on the skin. Then we've got Lightning. Makani, you take care, man. Get some sleep, sir.
Take care. I gotta do the same, but I enjoy talking too much, especially when I
So
find
do
out
I.
there's somebody else who's played the same games I've
Talk
played.
about submarine
They won't
games.
understand what I say.
Our entire night just disappeared in like microprose talk. It was great.
Yeah, I know. Because unfortunately, like you're talking about the games that I just religiously played, like immensely. Even the thing is, even like revisiting these memories, like brings back immensely, like the feelings that I was from playing them, and the same butt pucker moments that you were talking about.
Yeah, I really do enjoy microprose, man.
They make
Gracie
good
Law.
games.
Yes, that's right.
Enter the Zombie. Okay.
Eden Studios came out with a book called Enter the Zombie. It has an adventure that's just the movie with the names changed. Ooh. All right. So I guess it is 3 hours and 47 minutes into our stream.
Well, we started talking about the fun stuff, so of course we got distracted. Well, actually, I started ranting about just talking about my love of it. I'm sorry.
I'd like to say thank you to Makani and Steven and the Six Nations, Janet from Another Planet, Connell, and the Cracking Gamer. Those 5 helped me earlier today. We had an adventure. We started running through the alpha test, and with new people, it was a little bit rocky at first, in my opinion. Everybody seemed to enjoy it. They said they liked it. So that's who it is. All flesh must be eaten. Did you ever play that, Kai?
Yeah, but
okay.
I didn't play as much as I should have, but I had other games to play. I dabbled.
So, All Flesh Must Be Eaten was a really good zombie game back in the 2000s. They had so many variants of the zombie genre. I got to give them a lot of credit. If Eden Studios did that into the zombie, I think I might have to look for that at the local store. I think Night Watch Games would have that, or they'd order it for me. Yeah. Six Nation says it was a fun little clusterfuck tonight. Yes, it was. I think the system I do for the initiative, I think that really helps out with the sensation of this is a scrum. This is a real fight, a fracas. So I think that helped out, especially whenever Connell's like expecting to roll like something on the bow, and he says, well, I'm going to shoot that guy through the window. Well, he gets a +4 cover bonus. You're shooting him through a window. And then the +4 cover bonus turns into a +20% AC because we're using D percentile. And Connell's like, oh, shit. Charlotte's like, I love the Unisystem back in the day. I reworked All Flesh Must Be Eaten in so many ways. I made an Alien versus Predator campaign that went on for about a year.
That sounds fun.
Yeah. That would be a lot of fun. Guy, do we want to have a topic in 2 weeks on the 4th of October or 4th of November when we do this again?
We'll find one. If not, we'll just talk like we have been. We do a pretty good job of just making things go. Like if we find one, cool. If somebody in chat comes up with one, cool. We'll go. We'll do it. We'll have fun with it.
This is like my every 2 weeks I have a chill out stream with my friend Chimerian. He's on my Thursday night podcast and videos for the Table Breakers series. We did have a rotation after about a year. Our friend, the Crafting Gamer, has came in, and I'm wishing Shadow from the Shadow and Sun videos and channel all the best and the growth. I really hope that growth continues, man, for your channel, and I'd like to see what your son do further. If you guys are looking for someone who does very well with crafting terrain and miniature skirmish decorations on a budget, you really don't have to look very far past Shadow and Sun's channel. He has some of the best advice out there for how to make convincing and fun terrain that in a timely fashion on a budget and how to make it look good.
Yes.
He has over 40 years of hobby experience, and I think that a lot of the work he does is going to be something that everybody can take away something really positive from what he does. Have fun, Shadow. Good luck to you, sir. Kai, we're going to end tonight's work. Appreciate
All
you
right.
being. I'll let you escort us out, sir.
Hey, if you made it this far, thank you. I appreciate the time that you've given us, because you can have gone and watched anything else, but I appreciate you making it this far. If you can say something in chat, we'll respond, or just come find us on Bruce's Discord. That's where you'll find my channel, where I will write a long diatribe about whatever I'm feeling that day or not, about anything and everything. Just feel free. Drop in, write your own diatribe. I'll do my best to respond to you. So if you like me just rambling, there's a year's worth of stuff to read, or just jump in now and enjoy it. But thank you for hanging out with us for the night. We'll see y'all some other point down the road. Till then, have a very good night, okay?
Thank you so much for being part of tonight's show. And before I exit, I'll copy and paste our Discord information right here.
Good idea.
Everyone, be well, and we'll see you
Till
soon.
next time.